Who do we have in the house? Give me a shout out. Let me know where you are from. Hello, Assad from Saskatchewan. A fellow
Oh,
Canadian.
nice. Saskatchewan, Saskatchewan. That's who I'm talking to tomorrow. I got to talk to some people from Saskatchewan.
Oh, Joseph Polina from San Francisco. Man, we got some people from San Antonio. Some
How many people
Spurs.
we have in here?
We've got peoples, man. Hundreds of people. Juan
Oh,
from Medellin, Colombias. Okay, okay, Mr. Ma, what's going on? Show Emerson, how you doing? Mr. Campo, what's going on, man? Pleasure to have you guys. Guys, give us about 2 minutes. Let's get this thing started and make sure that everybody gets in. And then we are going to put on a show, or as they would say in Toronto, we're about to shred. Give us about 2 seconds, guys. Let me make sure everybody gets in so that we have the party of parties. Nilesh, what's going on? Scranton, PA. Woohoo! Mr. Reggie from Portsmouth, New Hampshire. Good, good, good. Drew, Chicago. Love it. Ben Brokaw, long time no see. David Furlano, a fellow Torontian. Is that a word? Torontoian.
Torontonian.
Torontonian. Good, good, good. Mr. Steve, Ohio. Vikram Bansal. What's going on? Hey, Vic, can you do me a favor? That trading journal you sent me is epic, except I have no clue how to use it. Like, do those numbers all calculate, or do you just like copy and paste them in? Can you make me like a quick video? And I'll give you a special surprise. A chocolate surprise. That just sounded wrong. All right, Vikram is from Winnipeg, Canada. A lot
Okay,
of
I've been.
Canadians over here. What's with that? What's with that? How come
We
Canadians love
flock,
so
because
much?
we flock together, bro.
Yeah.
There's not many of us. There's not many of us. So they're like, man, there's a guy from Canada. Okay, we're in. If he's doing something, we're there. We're there.
Oh my God. This guy is not playing hockey. We are in. All right, good. I think everybody's in. So let's, guys, let's get this thing started. So we haven't done this in a while, as frankly, I've just been a little bit lazy, been traveling and doing all my thing. But we are back on action with the path to profitability. And this is one of my students and my dear friend, TJ, aka Taylor Jordan. And Taylor is a 25-year-old Torontoian from Canada. Awesome guy, a black belt in jiu-jitsu, a business owner in lighting fixtures or LED lighting, I believe. And he's also a kick butt trader who has really gone through the ups and downs of trading. And I think he's got an awesome story because, Taylor's he's been with me for a couple years and he's been to my house twice. I stayed in Destin, and it was like night and day seeing him from the first time when he came for adult spring break 2015, ASB 2015, and this year when he came, I think it was just in October. His skills and his mentality had totally changed, and he was shredding when he got here. And then since he left, he's been really, really consistent, and I've seen some awesome changes in his trading style, but he's been really consistent. $500 days, $1,000 days, even some $2,000 days, while limiting some of the demons that used to get him before, which was the big down days. And so, Taylor, welcome. Uh, uh, Hello from all of us in Bulls on Wall Street. And why don't you, how are you, man? What's going on? Is there any snow over in Toronto, man? Give us the juice of what it's like to be a U.S. day trader from Toronto. And tell us a
Uh,
little bit about it.
it's good. Today's nice and warm. It's just rainy. I was just actually in Florida, not at Destin's. I was up at Disney, doing a little family thing. So I came back to a torrential downpour of freezing rain. But as long as it makes the snow go away, I'm a happy camper. And other than that, I'm just grinding, was doing some trading basically since I've been back. We're waiting for the Trump's huge day coming in tomorrow, so it's a little bit slow. But, slow is an excuse for your lazy lazy. You know, there was plays today. I didn't make too many. I think Kunal was kind of in the same boat. There was some stuff in the afternoon, but yeah, just grinding it out. I got another webinar in the morning for some lighting stuff I'm doing. And then just helping my students in jiu-jitsu that we have at the gym here with my buddy who owns it there, my instructor. And
So give
that's
me a
it.
rundown. So guys, Taylor, like so many of you guys, he's got a job. So he owns a LED lighting business that takes up a good chunk of his day. And so he's got to be super structured because he's trading in the morning, then he's got to do his real work. And he's trying to transition obviously into making enough money to obviously take the place of his business income so they can sell the business and do whatever he wants. But till that moment comes, like so many of us, he's got to do both. And I was the same way. I worked for years while saving up bankroll and trading till one income basically replaced the other. So Taylor, give me a rundown. Like, what the fuck is LED lighting business? Like, what does that even mean? That just sounds
Oh man,
lights
you
up.
want to go deep? We'll give you the quick version. Basically, now you know everybody that has the old fluorescent lightsaber type lights in your roof. You got to get rid of those. They aren't as reliable. They're burning out, and now we're switching everybody over to the light emitting diode. So LED, and basically, yeah, I work with my father. It was a small family business. It started in my spare bedroom upstairs with my dad, and it got so busy we had to expand it. So actually, the first time I saw Kunal, I was just doing the same thing from my bedroom with my father helping my dad do the business, and then things got so busy. December 2016, we ramped this sucker up into a full operation with a warehouse, staff. I'm on Skype with Asia every night. So yeah, it's the full gambit. It's the full entrepreneur thing. I now know, I did it before with my father, but we really ramped it up, and I know this is what everyone says. I want to be an entrepreneur. I got this sweet idea. If you're not willing to bleed out your eyeballs for these things, good luck. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's basically all day is I'm just grinding. I prepare my day so that I can do this, and when I'm not doing this, I'm always working on quoting, talking to clients, and getting their lighting needs done, per se.
You're satisfying a lot of people's needs.
Yes, I'm satisfying people's needs on a daily basis.
Canadians are you're a giver, is what you are.
That's what we do in the North. We satisfy needs.
You're a giver. So, guys, Taylor has got a really interesting background because he is this LED lighting guru. Because I'm guessing he's probably the only one in Canada that even does this. Because I've never heard of this type of business. And then he's a trader. And then Taylor is also he chokes out cowboys at nightclubs and stuff due to this black belt he has in jiu-jitsu. And I got to see this firsthand as we were in Destin and we were at this place called AJ's and it was like 4 in the morning. And I saw Taylor do this weird move on this cowboy type guy and he almost took him out.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Tell us a
So
little bit about your jiu-jitsu game.
So Kunal bumps me up. It says I'm black belt. I'm actually purple belt. I train under a black belt. I will be a black belt soon time. I teach pretty much every single day. A friend of mine, we were just training in a little gym. We rented like 2 square mats, and one day I said to him, this sucks, man. Like we got to get our own place.
Yeah.
So I had some stuff going on the side with my businesses. He was like, yo, if you can help me, I'll put the risk up. My buddy bought a place. We started a school with just me and him. He was a purple belt at the time, and I was a white belt. Now he's a black belt, and I'm purple belt, so we've kind of switched places. And we started just me and a buddy on some mats, and now I think we have, between the fitness students and the Muay Thai students, there's probably like 100 people at the gym. And when I'm not trading, you'll see a lot in like my presentation or as we chat. Everything I know for the trading comes from my mentality from jiu-jitsu and from fighting and from my travels. And everything I know from fighting and from this comes from before that. I was a hardcore skateboarder, snowboarder. But yeah, I'm just every day I finish trading. I go home about 4 or 5 o'clock. I have 15 minutes where I eat a snack. And then I'm doing something like this, except it's not on the internet. I'm chatting with the students and trying to help them choke various cowboys, I guess, in Florida there. So, yeah,
It was
everyday training, scrapping it out.
It happened to be, we didn't plan it out, but when he came here, there happened to be a real thing called adult spring break, which we didn't even know anything about. So we're like cruising around. There's like this huge beach party, and it was like ASB 2015, and we got in deep. We
Oh
were,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
we
It
were,
was Kunal that threw the choke on this guy. Like he was fronting on me, and I was ready to throw down, and then Kunal just jumped in, and I don't know what happened. It got wild. There was a pizza involved. There was pizza flying everywhere, and then I think we got a cab. I woke up covered in sand. I don't know. It was an experience, but I think some training there was helpful to fight off these aggressive Florida Cowboys.
Good stuff. So, guys, give me a rundown, Taylor. And Robert, chill out, man. Don't make me say anything a little bit weird about you.
Come on, Rob.
Come on, Rob. He's an easygoing guy. Leave him alone. Leave the trolling to the YouTubers. YouTube is like the best for trolls. They're like the most creative too. Like they'll put like caricatures of you. It's amazing. I go through them all the time, always answering them. So Taylor, give me a rundown of your trading style. I mean, obviously, yeah. Originally, you learned from me, and then as you've matured into a 25-year-old cowboy killing jiu-jitsu fighter, you've changed your style a little bit to fit what you like to do.
Yep.
And give me the rundown. Like, what's up? Like, what is it that you do all day?
So I have some slides if you want me to jump into that, or
Yeah, so let me hand it over, but and give us a rundown of kind of what you're doing in the meantime. Like what's the deal with you?
all
Like
right. So yeah, if you want to toss it over,
so you
I
just
will.
got to accept it, I believe, and we'll be good to go. Oh, I see your stuff. You're good.
Am I on? Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
All right. Let me just full screen here. Okay, so you can see my screen and still my face and everything.
Yeah.
All right. So path to profitability, just what we chatted about there. Taylor Jordan, Kunal keeps saying I'm 25. I'm actually 26.
Nah.
I've been trading. I've been trading about 2 years. I've always been around it. I had a financial background in school. I worked at a few banks, but I didn't really learn anything about trading per se. I'm really good at opening you up a savings account, and that's about as far as the training went. I run a business, as we talked. I'm a purple belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I teach every day, and I am shredding the NAR, skateboarding, and snowboarding. And maybe when I keep talking and rambling on, you'll see kind of why I think that relates to trading and martial arts as well. So let's go into like before we go into the plays, I'll just quickly chat about like some stuff that helped me because this is supposed to be a webinar basically about like how I wasn't doing as well, and then I fixed it. And I mean, you're never off the hook entirely, but I think I've turned a big corner here. So starting off the day, I'm up super early. I'm up like 5 a.m. every day. Why? I got a lot of shit to do, okay? So I got to be up at 5. I do some preliminary work. Like I actually study Mandarin Chinese. I spent some time in China training Kung Fu, which again helped my trading, I think. So maybe we'll talk about that. Huh?
That's all you got?
But what? Ni hao ma, han hao ni na? But I use a paper and a pen watch list. So to get it started, the first thing everybody asks is, how the hell do I find these stocks? I can't find these stocks. I don't know what everyone has. Everyone has Momo stocks, but not me. Okay, so the main thing is I use a piece of paper to write them down, and this changed my trading style entirely. I used to use a digital watch list, so like whatever you want to have, a text edit, a Google, a Microsoft Word in front of you, but it doesn't work for me. I got to write it down, and that downloads it into my brain. So every morning I have this little list of just stuff that's going on, and I'll update it each day kind of as I go on. I have stocks that are in play right away, so you can see here it just says stocks I like in play. This is just an example of one I had. But then there's also ones on the side that I'm watching. So when we're talking about my style now, like what I'm developing, is I always have the Momo in the morning, and that's when I want to hit this thing pretty big and get a good cushion. And then I'm going to sit on it, and if nothing shows up that's on my kind of keeping my eye on list, I'm pretty much done. And we're going to get into that for a sec. But the most important thing I can tell you watch list wise and scanning wise is write the stuff down. I mean, if you're on Twitter and you're hanging out all day, you're in the chat room with me and Kunal, and you're watching stocks go. So many times when I was a beginner, I'd watch Z-Man or Sawman and Kunal. They'd be trading, and I just like wouldn't even pay attention to it. I'm like, cool. I hope he wins money on that. No, I'm gonna write it down because tomorrow, if I don't even make money on it, I can short it if it's ripping, or I can continue on the rip. So organizing it in a piece of paper for me has helped me a lot because I used to always have all these hot stocks on my watch list, and because they were digital, nothing sank in my brain. There was nothing for me to look at. Yeah, I can go back and look at them on the computer. It's not the same for me. So,
Hey, so give me a rundown though. So you started writing this all down on paper. What what were some of the issues you were having like before you started to do this?
okay, it was just pure negligence of the watch list. Like, I would make this big watch list, and
Yeah.
half of them were like super hot plays, and I would just throw it out. Like, I'd just delete it, like on my computer, or like minimize it and be like, okay, today's a new day. No, four of these stocks on the watch list, they're still going down. Like they just ripped today. So we're either going to hit them on the short side or we're going to hit them on a continuation. So in the morning, I have this list in front of me. I'll look at it at like 5, 6 in the morning, and then I'm going to pull up these charts quick, or at night when I'm doing my scans. Then I'm going to transfer them over to the new ones. So like this one has Excel long. Okay, maybe Excel that day shredded, whatever, $2. Okay, well now I'm going to look at it in the morning the next day, and I'm going to bring it over. And now I say, okay, I can hit this on the short side, or maybe it's a trap, you know, and it's going to squeeze because all these people thought it was to hit on the short side. So this is where I think now when I have these lists, I know the story from day one, so I can continue the story onto day two. And Kunal probably saw me. The first day I came, or the first time I came to his house, I didn't have this. The second day, I don't know if you noticed, but I had a little blue book, and every day I was writing down what we were trading. Whether it worked or not, I had a list. What did I touch that day? Of course, you can check with your broker, but for me, putting in my brain helps a lot.
So, and guys, this is important because I too write down. I have a journal like this. It's tiny leather-bound journal to make myself feel real sexy. Like I put leather. But I find that it's like this vomit of the brain. Like when you write something down, like physically, it's like you're committing to it. Versus, you know, like when you do anything computer, for me at least, anything digital related is like all fun and games. I'm catfishing myself stock style. Like, you know, it's like there's no commitment because it's you know, everything digital is just, to me, it's like, right, you know, it's like fake sometimes. Like I'm Facebook and Instagram and I'm just posting stuff and there's like no commitment to it. But for some reason, when I started writing this stuff down, like it became like a commitment to myself, like old school, like fucking Socrates style shit, right? Like I'm writing it down, and for some reason when I physically write something, because for years the only thing I ever wrote was my fucking signature, like you know, because I'm always typing everything, but then everything gets lost in the digital shuffle of life. Like I had this Evernote of like fucking tens of pages, tens of thousands of pages of just like this diarrhea of my brain, and I'm like, you know, I don't know. Like this is just seemed to me like a more of a commitment, old school. Like it's a journal. I'm not only writing my stocks and stuff, but I'm also writing on my day, and it's like a journal of my mind. But I find that, you know, it's like, you know, before you go on a date, they tell you to unclog the pipes. This is the same type of deal. Before you go and you trade or you go about your day, you unclog your brain. That's a bad analogy, but
Yes.
that may have been a bad analogy, but you unclog your brain. And so when you write it down, it's like you're making this, you're just getting it out there, right? You're just getting it out there, because if you don't, things just ping pong around. They just ping pong around, and putting it on paper gets it out there, and so it can be a real help. Not everybody's like this. Some people like to use the Evernote, and look, we all have charting platforms like TC2000 and stuff. So, you know, you can of course organize this, but it's just a commitment, right? And so I like the way Taylor does it because I do it too. It's almost like you're like the shorter, whiter, younger version of myself sometimes.
All right. All right, so moving on. So the next one is after, like Kunal was saying, is like I do agree you got to have them all on paper, and this like translates to like I was showing Kunal. We were just talking one day. We're always chatting on like texting, whatever, and I actually have like with jujitsu and with everything that I'm doing business wise, I have journals, and they're not like they're just like my thoughts for the day. Like today, I ate that shawarma and I feel like dying. Like it'll just say that. And when I write that stuff down in the morning, I'm looking at that too. Like, oh, maybe that will affect my trading. I have a whole book of all this stuff that like Kunal said. Now it's out of my brain and it's on the paper. And then I look at it in the morning. I'm like, yo, at 12 o'clock you ate that shawarma and you wanted to die. So you probably shouldn't do that again. But if I had that in a digital list, it probably wouldn't do it. So at night I scan these in the Google Drive, and you can see here like I have a list of them, and that's for later. Like so I don't have to be I don't know if I'm on a plane because I travel for work. I don't have to carry actually these around. I do have them around in like in a file, but then I can be like, oh, I have 2 hours. I'll scan through all these things. By the end, it'll be all botched up with notes everywhere. You saw a clean one. I probably took it before the open, but by the end of the day, that thing's like a scribble fest. But it's good. It shows where my brain's at. I'll see something like too much size here, but I wouldn't have had that digitally. I probably wouldn't have wrote it down or cared. So scan these things after. Don't just be like, oh, sick, I'm done. I made money today, and whip it in the garbage. Use it for reference, because the other thing too is, like I said, all these people go, I don't know how to find the tickers, man. Okay, if I have that page and I have 15 of those from the past 2 weeks, I have every single ticker that was ever mentioned in play on Twitter, on the chats. I have all those logged. So on Sunday, I can go through all those and be like, 90% of them sucked, but these 10 that are good, these go back onto the next paper, and it's always reviewing. And then you can say to yourself, yo, I've written down JNUG like 18,000 times. On Sunday, I should probably check what's up with JNUG.
That's our go-to stock for it was when he was at my house. That's all we traded.
Yeah, we have a nice JNUG example too. You can't do a webinar unless you give the JNUG a shout out.
You're not JNUG yet. You're not.
If you're not going to be a JNUG lifestyle, like what are you doing?
Can't be JNUG lifestyle without some JNUGs every day.
So on top of this, you're going to have your list, and to be honest, your paper should probably cover most of your stuff. But then you can hop onto the stockmarketwatch.com. That shows all the gappers. So stuff you didn't know from the day that, I don't know, overnight they said they've cured cancer or something. That's going to pop up on the gappers. And you'll learn more about this stuff. I don't want to take too much time on the scanning with Kunal, because if you follow Kunal's stuff, he's got tons of free stuff out there learning on this, as well as the bootcamp, which I'm sure we'll chat about after. But you can go to the stockmarketwatch.com. This is going to show you all the gappers, all the moving. You can go to Yahoo top gainers and top losers. That got really messed up because Yahoo changed the format and it's disgusting now, but you can still try it. FinViz is a free scanning tool. That has the same thing. Top gainers, top losers, unusual movement. StockTwits, I would never trust any idiot on there because it's probably filled with the stupidest people in the world. But you can see what's trending, and you can hit a button on it, what's trending, and that's just going to show you, like, what are people chatting about? Like, what are all these stupid people that we're going to punk tomorrow's money? What are they in? Because tomorrow we're gonna choke them out. So you can see like what's going on. And Twitter, Kunal's on there every day. I think today he said Emma MBLY looks hot. So you could easily be like, oh, Kunal said MBLY is hot. Don't chase him. Don't follow him into the trade. But be like, why did he do that? Oh, well, tomorrow it's gonna have this flag breakout that he was looking at, and it didn't happen today. So Twitter is a huge example, huge resource too. And you can see here, TweetDeck is a sick tool you guys can use. And this will actually organize your Twitter. So, like, I have a bunch of people in here. We got my boy All Day, who's a sick trader. And we got Mr. Kunal Desai. We got Mary Beth, Zaman. I got some other guys here. So this just organizes, like, people I'm looking at. So Kunal's first because I want to know what he's thinking.
Bitcoin? Are you trading the coin?
I am working on the coin, but I'm not in the coin.
I also have a coin account at Coinbase.
Dude, you're a savvy young man.
You almost have been holding out on me, it seems like. I mean,
I'm on that Chris Dunn lifestyle, bro.
I'm on the Bitcoin lifestyle also. I recently just did it because, it tanked. And I'm like,
yeah.
I'm like, this type of thing usually is like just kind of a fluffy thing. Like they come back, so I open a little Coinbase account. I'm just gonna play around with it. But the one thing I did notice about the Bitcoins, because not that many people trade it, like there's probably a huge edge in there because like Bitcoins don't do that much volume, but like I
Yeah.
can't imagine there's like some freaking Bitcoin shredder out there just taking people's money. Like
Yeah, or like trapping you hard. Like we should have the edge on these guys. But you never know. Chris Dunn could smoke you out on the other side.
yeah, I could be that Bitcoin shredder.
Yeah, you could be the Bitcoin shredder, the Indian Bitcoin shredder.
I could just be the Indian Bitcoin shredder just running around, Bitcoining all the way.
This is true. And if you use TweetDeck, you can organize where your Bitcoin feed shows.
Yes, I use Hootsuite, which looks exactly the same. They must just literally be just copies of each other.
Yeah, I don't know where I found it. I found out about that. I think actually Sykes or somebody said they used that. But basically, yeah, it's a huge help because so many people too on Twitter. I mean, you want to follow like stuff you actually care about. I have MMA stuff going on here and stuff too, but I want to be able to have my same account. I mean, you could open a trading Twitter that's only your trading stuff, but if you just want to use your personal thing, yeah, organize it like this. And like I said, don't have an excuse. I don't know what the stocks were. I mean, there's a million things going on right here. If you look at this one right here, there's Kunal's watch list right there. So you got 13 stocks right there that you can look at. So use that, and then use all these websites I was saying. And I mean, with that, plus you're going to have probably a scanner built into your charting, and you're going to know what you want. But I mean, somebody said it. I don't know who it was. Maybe it was Bodek, Chaim Bodek, but he was saying like, I want this. Kunal says it, I think too. Is like, you want the stocks. We don't want to play these stocks that are like a hipster bar with like 3 people and a crappy guitarist. Like, we want the shred, metal life, epic volume. So most of the time, if these dumbasses on stock twits are talking about it, we can take their money and we can see what's going on. And like all these, you're going to find something in here. And then you're going to write it down on your piece of paper and you're going to be good to shred.
Hey, so Taylor, do you have like an internal charting, or do you use IB brokers for your charting and scanning, or do you
Yeah,
go on
yeah.
those
So
websites?
these charts that will go into the examples, this is interactive brokers charting. I had TC 2000 for a long time when I was a bootcamp student, and I paid for it monthly, basically to learn. And I ended up, when I got my interactive brokers account, they just said it's free, basically with my commissions as long as I trade. I get free charting.
It does look
So
like 2000.
yeah, so it looks pretty similar. And then I'll throw up like a IB scan in the morning, like top gainers in the pre-market. But I could tell you that 99% of the time it spits out the same stocks that I already know from doing this and being on Twitter. So,
Yep.
I mean, you can be like, I need a high-level scanner. I was asking Kunal, like, I think I should get trade ideas. He's like, it's just showing me the same stuff I already knew. And then like 18 other thousand stocks and its special AI freaking VR training thing, whatever it does. But
I'm
like,
just not a big believer, guys, in spending a ton of money on tools
mhm.
because in the beginning it's like I didn't for like my first 5 6 years of trading, like I spent almost no money on tools beyond just the $30 a month for TC 2000 gold. Like I refused to because I didn't need to, because in the beginning, say you got $5,000, but then you have this $1,000 a month for your scanning, and then $50 a month for your charting, and you pay like $100 a month for this guy's chat room, and then you pay $50 for this. Well, that's $3,000 on your $5,000 account. That's not going to work, right? And
and,
so
and it's like, how many ideas do you really need? I mean, usually it's 2 ideas in the day that are going to crush it.
that's the thing is when you have smaller accounts, unless you're trading millions of dollars, you need 3 or 4, 5 ideas a day, and you're probably going to trade 2 of them or 3 of them, maybe. My best days, I'm trading like 1 or 2 stocks, and I'm just like hammering, just shredding this thing. It's not like my best days, I have like 10 tickers, I traded them all. Usually, those are the days I lose a shit ton of money. So, like when you spend a lot of money on these tools, like these scanners, what happens is it lulls you into thinking you have this like holy grail of this. You have this holy grail, like you have this edge. Like because I have this scanner and I spent all this money on it, I'm gonna be loaded. Like I have this secret. Well, it's not. Everybody has scanners, but the thing is, a scanner can. All it takes is the 8,000 stocks in the market, and then it shoots out 50 ideas. And then you still have to pick the right entries and exits and stuff, right? It doesn't tell you how to trade. So in the end, what does it do? It just overwhelms you, and then you don't even need a lot of it. Like I have some of these scanners now because I have 6 accounts, and you know, you're moving around with different stuff, and frankly, it saves me time, right? Rather than doing some when I was had no money and I was building, well, I had tons of time, and I just didn't mind spending an extra hour a day looking through the free stuff and going through it. Now, like an hour of my time is worth thousands of dollars, right? So I'd rather just pay the $100 and get the scan. Yeah, so there's always that dichotomy. But I don't even keep them on. Like when you watch me trade, I don't even keep them on during the day. I do all my homework pre-market, and then it's like I turn that shit off because when it shoots out all those tickers at you, it's like a paralysis by analysis. It's like too much data. Any given day, Taylor will tell you, like right now, like even I see how he trades. There's like 3 or 4 hot plays. And if you're not in those plays, then you shouldn't be trading.
Yep, 100%. And that was part of well, I mean, we're talking here today about like, we'll go back to the first question people probably ask, what kind of computer do you trade on? Okay, I used to have 8 screens. I got really gung-ho, and I needed it anyway. I needed a couple screens for work, but I used to trade on like 8 screens, and I can trade just as well. Like Kunal and me, I trade on an 11-inch MacBook Air, and I can do just as good as I do with 9 screens and
That was
60,000
so sick.
scanners.
He showed up at my house with this like 2012 MacBook Air with all these dongles. He's like, yeah, man, I tried to call Mac customer service and ask how I could hook up 8 monitors to my MacBook Air, but they just said it's never been done. But I'm not a believer. He just had like all these dongles, and he was just going to town. Like he had his MacBook Air, and then like he had another screen, like another kind of computer for something. And dude, he was like just jamming like piano style, one hand on each keyboard, and
Scott
you know,
Storch.
yeah, he was nailing it.
So yeah, so I think we probably beat that to death, but that's don't worry about scanners and stuff. I mean, if you know the story, it's a story. So that'll get into like what I'm trading nowadays is it's all based on the story like that develops. So Kunal always says in boot camp, like we're gonna build like a dirty case against this guy and we're gonna put him in jail. So we got to have like all the factors right. But yeah, you don't need all these crazy scanners. Of course, when you become a professional and you're deep into your game and you know exactly what you want, like Kunal said, your money's worth time. If you don't want to do that, get a scanner. If you got $1 million to start off, get a scanner. But I don't think you really need that. Just use those free websites and follow what's going on. If the pros are talking about it on Twitter, chances are it's going to set up maybe more than your AI programmed by 18,000 nerds in a basement. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
It's like we went from Terminator 2 to AI in trading software.
That's right. We jump.
Things have jumped a lot in the last 20 years.
So I guess I'll dive into a couple plays and I'll just show you kind of what I've been doing and what I've been doing in the chat room too. Yeah. So like this is JNUG. We can see on the daily it's got this pattern going on here, and I saw that it was sitting on the 9 EMA. So all I'm looking for now, and this was a huge breakthrough for me, was like I used to always be like, I'm going to like rip this flag and then it's going to rubber band back and then I'm going to inverse shred over here and then I'm going to do this. And like, no, you don't need any of that. Maybe when you're like quintuple black belt trader, millionaire extraordinaire, okay, go ahead. And you'll see Kunal ripping it out of stuff sometimes, but obviously he's experienced at what he's doing, and you don't need to do that. Like at the start, I'm watching usually just at the open or the pre-market, and I'm seeing what is the story of this stock today. So if it pops up on my scanner and it's hot, I'm like, all right, well, I can tune in at 8:30 in the morning or 7 in the morning, and that's going to show me like kind of what's happening. So this one actually wasn't a pre-market one. This was a regular one, although a lot of my plays lately do come from the pre-market, and I'll show you in a sec. But this was an easy one, okay? So on the daily, we can see it. It went down from 15 bucks to around 12, high 12s. And we know now this is probably going to be some support. And again, you'll learn all this if you follow Kunal stuff and you do the boot camp. So I saw here, I could draw my line, okay? Trend line. Everything I learned was from the trend line. And this happened when I was visiting Kunal. He keeps going. Sorry, go ahead.
Redraw the trend line.
Yeah, well, not that, but I would take a play and like it'd be the confirmation. And he came over to my computer and he's like, "Your entry is like really disturbing me," and like
That was
that
so
really like hit home for me because I'm like, he's right. Like I'm late. So I really, really, really focused on these trend lines, and this is honestly basically what's made me money the past time. So I can see that this is tapping this line. It's coming up to this line. It's riding this 9 EMA. It's hitting this line. It's hitting this line. It's failing. It's failing. And I actually thought, well, you'll see the other one is a breakdown, but so it's hitting here. It's failing. It's failing. It's failing. And then right here starts to pop out a little bit. So now we know the trend has changed, okay? This JNUG is ready to rock. So took along here with this little poke out, and I know that my risk is somewhere around this line right here. So I know if it dips below this line, I got my finger on the trigger. I'm going to have to boogie on this thing. But we got here long, 1283. Right when it popped out, you see it just poke right above the line. Okay, starts to build, starts to build. This is what we want, a little bit of building right above that level. You can see the 9 EMAs curling a little bit. Now we know it's going to start to swoop up. The slope's going to change. So it changed. You can see I've already got orders in here because when this thing goes up and rips, I want to get out. So I'm layering myself in to take my profits. And now we're harpering back to like, what are the stupid things traders do? I used to always want like $2 every trade. I'm like, I deserve this. I'm a good person. Okay, it's not going to happen. There are ripping stocks that will give you that, but most of the time that's not going to happen. So now I layer in these orders, and these are going to just pay me as the thing goes up. So I can pop some bottles later, whatever. You just boom, boom, I'm out, more money. Okay? So
and
when this
trend lines too is why we draw them is the more times you test a level, right? It's like a pressure cooker essentially. So when you're tapping into a trend line, you hit it and you hit it, and a stock has been stuck under there. You're building pressure to explode, right? So you have this set up on the daily chart. So Taylor's identified on the daily chart he really likes this because it's come down XYZ. Now on the intraday is how you enter and exit stocks, right? That's how you time them. And so essentially he's already confirmed to himself he needs to be in this stock. Like it's party time for this stock. Now it's a matter of entering. And so when he's coming into that trend line and it's tapping and tapping and it's coiling up, that's what builds up the energy, but also tells you when to get in. And he's been really good at this. When he came to my house, he was redrawing these trend lines, and he had this most really disturbing entries sometimes. Like the stock would go, and then he'd be like the last man to the gangbang, like popping it later, and it'd be like the trend line was all the way down here. He's like, I know, but I froze.
Yeah, so that was a huge point in like now is like I'm patient enough where like if the trend line pops and it's gone, like it's okay. It's too far gone. And now I'm actually working on like slowly over the past maybe week or two though is like getting used to being like, okay, I missed it. What is the opportunity now for me to hit this dip and get back in? But I have to wait for the dip. Like I can't just hop in and be the last one to the gangbang because that does not ever end up good. So going back to this thing ripped down, 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 pops out, and then here you can see what Kunal's saying. Okay, now it's popped over and it's building here. So it's like the boiling water on the stove is kind of like, and then I know this thing's going to rip and it's going to spill all over the stove, and that's a money shower. So the thing ripped, I layered my orders in. You can see it's hitting them, and then you'll see, okay, Taylor, it's over these orders. Well, why are they still there? No, now these are stop losses. So
Yep.
I've taken the money out, and every time those orders hit and are, they're done, I put the next one in to cover my ass, so that if this thing flops, and it'll happen where it's happened to me, if this thing, whatever, the Trump comes out and says, my currency's going to be huge, we don't need gold or whatever, I'm going to have to figure out an answer here because this thing will happen. Maybe tomorrow we'll see some of this. So that's what I'm going to put the layers in under, and that's just protecting me. And then the orders are scaling me out. So as you can see, this one, we popped out perfect, rode the 9 EMA. Now this one, and this is part of what's going to help you guys as you get better, and I'm still working on this, is like, how do I let my winners run? And I think the guy, maybe it was Jesse Livermore, who wrote Reminiscence of a Stock Operator. He says like the hardest thing you can ever figure out is how to let your winners run. But on this one particularly, went up. I saw this doji. If you know technical analysis, this means there could be a possible change in the trend. So I just said, you know what? Hell, it's been a half hour. It's 10 o'clock. I was up 600 bucks on this. I left this one on so you guys could see like what realistic money you'll make out of a play like this. And I just said 601 bucks. That's a hell of a day for me, you know, as a beginner or where I'm at now. I don't like this. I'm just going to take the money and run.
I like it.
So
So one of the things too is Taylor. Can you give us like a couple tenets? So like a doji is like one reason you might sell a stock. You know, there's numerous reasons. So a lot of times, like people look for like how do I know when to sell? They're just looking for that standard answer, right? Like if it does this, I sell. But selling is a dynamic thing, I think. You know, there's a whole host of different reasons you may sell a stock. And having that dynamic list of different reasons that you could sell a stock, you know, when you have a reasons to sell list, essentially, that's going to keep you into the trades. And then when they kind of start checking off, it's like okay, maybe I'm going to get out. So, like, what would be beyond this Woji Doji? You know, I'm not big into candlestick analysis, so I got to make fun of you a little bit. Beyond the Woji Doji, what else would you be looking at to potentially get out of a trade?
I mean, the most important thing is probably lower highs. I mean,
Okay.
if this thing, and then the other thing would be a lot of it is 9 EMA. The only indicator I really use now is the 9 EMA, and I honestly don't think I need it. I can see this line just with my eyes,
Yeah.
but I like to use it, like Kunal said, as I'm building a case against this thing. So on this one, I actually think it did rip further later in the day, so I probably could have left it in. But like I said, is I was like, you know what, take this money and run. But you might see this. So you got the doji. Okay, step number one. That means a trend reversal. Okay, now I have this candle, which is like engulfing these. Okay, so it's a red candle. All right, it's not too bad. You know, it's only down a couple cents here. But maybe if this broke the 9 EMA, I'm like, hey, I got the woozy, wazi, doji, whatever, and I got a 9 EMA break, and then it's a lower high. I'm like, chances are this thing's run out of steam. I can take my money and I can just wait till it picks up steam and I can go in the next round. Like, there's always a next round. So I think that's the other thing is like, don't be afraid if you're up a lot, like, and you want to play it again later. It's okay, but don't get caught in that huge swamp on the downside. But I'll look for a couple things. And this one, like I said, is I just kind of was like, you know what, I'm up, I'm good here, I'm content. But you can maybe make a list of things that you notice that trigger the downfall. I mean, this one for me, for sure, if it had gone to this 9 EMA, I would have said, I'm out. This is probably going to run. And then that's the trend line, too. It's like, look, if I drew a line up here and this thing comes down and breaks the line, well, now it just did the same thing we were talking about here, but on the other side. So why would I take this long here and then it breaks it down here? No, now I know that it's probably going to do the exact same thing we just did, but on the short side. So I don't want to be in that anymore, so I'll take my money and run. That's kind of my mentality behind it.
Roll. Now, one of the things I did notice on that particular chart was that was a 3 minute chart.
Yes.
So, what are the time frames you typically like to trade on?
So I used to be when I started. I think again, I'm trying to highlight this stuff because I know the most people watching this, they want to know, you know, how do I not shoot myself in the foot and kill myself? And it's find kind of time frames that work for you. So I used to look at everything. I'd be like, oh, like on the weekly 8-month inverted shred life chart, it's bullish. But now I pretty much only look at a 1 minute chart and a 3 minute chart. And I find that the 1 minute can help me pinpoint the exact entry because on this one, I can see maybe the pop or the build before this little pop out of here on the 1 minute. And then I'll switch to the 3 minute and like confirm it. But even later in the afternoon, it's always 1 minute or 3 minute. And of
That's a
course, daily. You want to know the setup on the daily. But 1 minute, 3 minute intraday, 100% always.
Ganar, my friend.
So moving on to Kate. I'm just going to run through these pretty quick. Is like same thing, okay? This one I didn't draw the line, but we can use this to test our own eyes, okay? So look at here. If I drew a line, every time. Popped here, couldn't handle it. Popped here, couldn't handle it. Popped here, and this one I actually caught on the third pop here. So you could be better than me. You could get it on this. You could have drew a line here and got it here. But this is where I went, okay, 1 time's a failure, 2 times a failure, 3 times, this thing's done. So I took the short here at, what is it, 1838?
Yeah.
And you can see it here. I flipped, and then again, I flipped to the 3-minute. So this was a 1-minute. I flipped to the 3-minute. Same trend. If you have two things on one time frame, like if you have 2 time frames showing the same thing, we have more evidence in our big murder case. And Kate Spade just ate shit that day, ended up going down, and I covered it right around here. So what did Kunal ask me before? He said to me, Taylor, what do you do like to get out of this trade? Well, here it was. Wick here popped up. Wick here popped up. I know 1740s looking pretty solid here. Starts to curl. Okay, I got another piece of evidence here. Thing broke above the 9 EMA. Okay, 3 pieces of evidence. Screw it. I'm out. And this was a good trade for me.
You're riding dirty on that 9 EMA.
I am riding dirty on that 9 EMA.
That's nasty.
So you can see again, this is the same thing, 9 EMA. What happened? We were talking about Kate. Couple taps. Same thing here. So this is the most profitable plays I have, and this is from following the story pre-market. Now, you don't have to trade pre-market, but I noticed a big edge watching it because I know the story for the open. So this one here, it came down, popped up, tapped here, couldn't handle it. Tapped the 9 EMA, couldn't handle it. Now I notice, oh, this thing's riding real dirty on the 9 EMA. So hit here, couldn't handle it. Hit here, couldn't handle it. Dipped again below support, couldn't handle it. Popped up again, couldn't handle it. Popped up again. Took the short here at like 1743, I believe it was. And this is pre-market, so this is 8:20 a.m. But it's got a legit pattern. You can draw your line here, okay? And look at this thing. Just made it rain everywhere. Disgusting. So right after we took this thing, and this was live in the chat room, we were all talking about this thing, just died. So then you can see these orders too. On the other one I said I'm always putting these orders in just to cover myself on the way down. So these were kind of like pre-market can get a little sketchy. So these were kind of like my oh shit markers. Like if this thing, I'm scaling out, and if this thing rips back up, the computer's going to pull me out. So shorted it at 1735 after we saw a tap tap fail. Covered it all the way down. And you can see it's just a dirty rider. It's riding down this 9 EMA. And we were out the last shares at 14.05. So that's a huge failure there. And this happened at 9 o'clock. So I think this day I just left. I was like 9 o'clock. My work here is done.
My work here is done. That's like the best feeling in the world, by the way, guys. When it's like 9:45 in the morning and you've been just rolling around for 15 minutes and you say, my work is done. There's nothing better.
It's probably the most legendary feeling. So this one was the same. You'll see this one on a 5-minute, but that was only because I took this screenshot. I traded it on a 3-minute. So, sorry these are messy, guys, because these are my actual screenshots. I'm just like hotkeying screenshots as I go. So they look a little sloppy, but this is real hard work you can see going down here drawing these lines. So thing came down, popped up, and this time, look, it's riding the EMA, or it's riding my line I've drawn up. There's probably an EMA here. If you notice, I traded this one without an EMA. So I don't feel like I need it. My eyes can see there's something here. If I can draw this line, that means there's something there. Whether it's a 9 EMA, inverted MACD, whatever line, I don't care. But there's something going on here. So it went up, noticed here, tap, couldn't do it, tap, couldn't do it, couldn't do it. And I took the short here, and it just started dying down here. The good old CUDA. Okay, same thing here, GNC. This thing is like a stepping stone every day. Just kept crapping out. I think today, actually, Mary Beth said this thing died again.
It did.
And same thing here. So pre-market comes down, puts in a top, sucks. Look at all these wicks. Every time it's up, people are smacking this thing, smacking this thing, smacking this thing. Now, I put this slide in because I actually don't like this trade. And the reason is, this is the ones that Kunal says disturb him. Because I shorted this on the down. So why would I shouldn't have taken this red candle here. I actually could have drawn my line here and probably taken one of these at the top and got myself
correct
25 cents, 30 cents, whatever.
Always be first, not last.
Exactly. If you're not first, you're last. What's that, Talladega Nights?
Yeah.
So you can see here, like, we're talking about what is the stuff beginners do and what is the stuff that chops them up. Well, this was pretty early in the morning, and this thing was beating the hell out of it. So how do we know that I didn't short this thing right into support, and it bounced right up. So yeah, I did a good trade. This was actually a really good, like, money-wise trade, but technically speaking, probably was not the best. But this is what I'm saying is when you realize these trends, your eye will train yourself to be like, oh, I should have got it over here. No?
Stocks get their power from
Consolidate.
consolidations and bases. That energy, that sideways movement is what gives them their power. So sometimes if a stock is extended going into your trend line, it won't have the energy to bust through right away. It'll bust through at some point, but it may bounce and then bust through. And so I'm just a big believer in always having the perfect entry right when it cracks versus getting in after it's already going down. Because I like to be first and not last. And in trading, that's huge. You're the last man to the party, things can go either way.
Yeah, and again, like what we were saying is like how there's a perfect saying in jiu-jitsu, one of the all-time greats. He says, if you're late, you're going to muscle. And when you muscle, you're going to get tired. And when you're tired, you're going to die. And it's the same thing here. You're going to muscle your way into this thing, which I did, and I made it out this time, luckily. But it would have been much better here if I just cruised in right here early, and I was laughing, selling into all these suckers on stock twits who said, it's going to reverse, man. They're a good company. So I put this one in basically to show you, yeah, there's a trend line here, but how can we always improve every day to snipe these things closer? So this is Halo. This is a 1 minute chart again. It's 8:50 in the morning. It got a little cut off. Same thing every day. So this is just the same stuff happening every day. 9 EMAs here. It's kind of following it. It's not the cleanest. But look, tapped here, failed. Tapped here, failed. Now it reclaims the 9 EMA, failed. Here. And now, remember JNUG? JNUG, we wrote this here and it popped out. But this one is the opposite. I was actually looking at this. I'm like, oh, I'll do a long here. This will be nice. And then I'm like, ooh, it failed. Then I'm like, oh, maybe it's going again. No, it failed. And it ended up failing down here. So I believe I took the short here on the pop because I didn't want to be last to the GB. So I was like, okay, now I know that this is not going to break the trend. It's still a downtrend. But I can't be the loser that I used to be and get it, like here or probably here. So exactly. So I waited for this pop. Actually, I left this order on so you guys can see again what's like a real trade for me, like how much money it is. So it popped up. I took the short here, 1243. So just under here. I think I got it like right when it went back in the 9 EMA. And then the thing flopped. This was the one I was doing on Instagram. I had like a week where I was just going, look at all these turds. So if you saw one of those, that was on there. But basically, look, it came up and it failed again. And then now I knew, okay, now I'm on the other side of the tracks. This thing is now built below. So it should be good to go. So this was only 8:30 in the morning. So again, people go, I can't trade. I have a job. Okay, well, what time do you start your job and how long do you sit at your desk with a freaking bagel and sit there like reading about celebrities or whatever, 9 o'clock, 9:10, I was done. I had made $145, whatever. That's enough to, pay whatever, half your rent maybe. Who knows? So the thing pops up. We were short right around here, and we just held on, put my stops in, and the thing went down actually even more. I ended up, at one point I had 202. I was waiting, so this is the thing. We were talking about when did I get out? Well, I said it hasn't broken the 9 EMA. These candles suck, so it's still in a downtrend. It's red, red, red everywhere. And then I saw this, oh baby, some green. I don't like this. So this thing popped, broke the 9 EMA. I didn't like this candle with the wick pushing. I didn't like this push, so I just got out. So finished with a $169 trade at 9:30. And this was because volume was coming in from the open. So all the guys that I was before in the GB.
Hold on one sec, Taylor. Can you not see his screen? Anybody? I just saw one person say it, but just in case, let me double check. Okay, they can see it.
Nation can see.
Saeed is trying to mess with me. Okay. Hold on. As you guys, Saeed is, Zaman is like the old man in our chat room. Everybody can see it but you. You probably have a virus from all your pornos. That's why you always use Mac, guys. That's why you always get a Mac.
With 19 screens on dongle.
Oh, look at this guy. He's blown me up like 10 times saying he can't see the screen. And he goes, well, on my iPhone.
Sorry, I'm mobile. Sorry, bro, I'm mobile.
Whoa. James Brown, everybody loves that.
So yeah, this was the same. So I think we're good, right, Kunal?
Yeah, yeah, we're good. Saeed tried
Yeah.
to steal.
So
Well,
broke the EMA here, and like I said, I got a couple cases. I don't like the candles. I don't like this. It's about 9:30, so you know all these idiots from stock twits that were going, "It's a good company," they're coming in. So I'll sell into them.
you're really anti people online that talk about stocks.
Just stock twits. Just I can't stand the people on there because you can watch the feed. Like the thing will be tanking. They're like, "This thing's going to zero." It spikes 10 cents, and they all go, "It's a good company."
They
So
all,
yeah, so
I get a lot of haters.
I seen you have a few battles on there where you're like,
I don't battle. I usually play nice.
I just win.
In the past, I would say, in my younger days, I would say some more ruthless things. But I noticed, like a man with hair, he can do whatever he wants, right? Like you have this freedom to be like this huge dick. But like as you get older and you lose your hair, it becomes more about who you are and your personality, which sucks. But you just can't tell everybody to f off all the time because
This is
obviously
true.
when you have hair like Bradley Cooper, you mean the world is your oyster. You don't even need to really work. You're just like literally just walking around like sachet, right? But now, like, I guess I gotta like be like personable and stuff. Sucks.
So yeah, that was the Halo one. And then this was an ETRM. So this one everybody's been talking about lately. What happened again? Okay, 8:05 in the morning. This thing comes up. Okay. And I drew my line in the sand. I said, okay, it kind of tapped here. It's riding the 9 EMA. Now, again, let's look at this one. It could have been better. Should have probably had it here. Okay, but I saw it pop up. It's pre-market, so it's a little tough to get your order filled. I knew this had a ton of hype behind it. It was a low float. And look at this volume coming in. Okay, so I can see the volume coming in. Put it here. Let it ride. Now I have nice, and I have risk defined. I can see these EMA. So if it breaks these two, I know I'm going to boogie. And again, like I said, is like, do I need those EMAs? No, I can draw a line right here and say if it breaks this line, I'm in trouble. But this just helps me from
Yeah.
redrawing my trend line.
So you like this pre-market lifestyle?
Yeah, I'm all about that pre-market lifestyle. When you're a busy man, sometimes you got a pre-market lifestyle. But I feel that it might be important to new traders because what happened if I didn't want to take this pre-market? I know the story and I know the levels for that 9:30 open. Because I actually, here's a tidbit is when I first traded, I didn't even know that I could turn the pre-market data on. So my chart would be black, like you've seen it with no candles. And then 9:30 comes, and you just see the heat coming in, all the charts. And then the thing rips, and you're like, oh, there was no chance for me to get in. It just ripped first candle. Or you get in, you get absolutely crushed. And you're like, there was no chance for me to get in first candle. But why was there no chance for you when you could read the soap opera story developing in the pre-market? So this one, again, I took this long here. I figured it was actually going to pop like crazy quick. So I had orders already layered in. This was a far one. I had some scaled out here. But look, the thing tapped. We could see the trend line's good. Did a little pullback. We got some volume coming in. Like you said, the water's boiling. It's about to spill over. Whoosh, ripped up. Scaled out along the rip. And then we talked about what are my signs I don't like. This was a doji candle with a nasty wick. That means that someone was just clapping all these people at 750. And so I just boogied. I think this ended up being like $1,000 trade.
So
And then
let me
look,
ask you something. Do you hold into the open, or is it pre-market lifestyle and out, and then open lifestyle and back in?
I'd probably 99% of the chance I'd be already out by the open
Okay.
because I'm scared of the stock twitters. And what I wanted to actually show here was like say exactly what Kunal just said. Would you hold it into the open? So I sold on this candle like right around here, and then I don't know if I actually played this, but I think actually all day played this maybe. But when this thing sets up again, I can hit it here. But
I
look what
got
happened like here, like I guess 9:30 is right around here. The thing got sketchy into here, and then you get all this volume of people coming in. So like I don't know, maybe in the pre-market you saw, oh, I might want to short this. I don't like holding into the open because it's too irrational. So like Kunal said, most of the time, and like I was putting these all on Instagram as I was doing them,
Give
and
me a
I think
rundown, because this is like a cool stock. This stock went to $30 in a handful of days. What are the tenets of how the fuck does a stock go from a buck to $30 and while you're ripping and riding in this thing dirty? Like, what are the parameters that you look for that would make a stock even have this type of movement? Like, what does it need? Like, how does this happen? Because
I was
obviously,
just
IBM is not going to go up, 30 times in a handful of days.
yeah. So the main thing, the most important thing is that low float, and that's basically, and that's what I'm saying is you get these low floaters, and for you guys who don't know what the float is, it's like the amount of shares that can be traded. So, IBM is, I don't know what the float would be, probably
Billion.
a billion, yeah, something big. So that means that a billion brown Brad Pitt looking canal like people got to come in and buy that thing to move it. But this thing I think was like, I don't know, 10 million or like something really low. So there's only 10 million available. So when dudes like me take it in the pre-market and some people take it here, they got to chase it all the way up. They're like, oh, there's nothing left. Well, now a $7 stock, there's only 5 million of them left. It's $8 now. And then at $8, they're like, well, now there's only 2 million shares left. So this thing's, now it's worth $9. And so it just spikes and spikes and spikes. And we saw that happen with Dries, was like the legendary play of the century. It made people's lives and ruined some other ones. But yeah, that's why these. So sorry, with like Kunal's question is, I would not be playing like Apple or IBM in the pre-market. Why? Because I don't want that story. That story takes too much time, and nobody's going to be in there at pre-market. But when people wake up and they run these 18 billion scanners that you don't need, we talked about, and it says ETRM is hot, they've cured cancer, and there's only 10 million shares, these guys all go, oh, I'm going to get some in the pre-market, or I'm going to get some right at the open. And that's when you get these insane spikes. So on these pre-market plays, they're always low float in the pre-market, because I'm waiting for that spike. And if you can see here, like this one, yeah, but I was thinking to myself, this is low float. If this goes, it's not just going to go 1, 2, 3. It's going to do this, bump, 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 up. So that's how I know is what Kunal was saying is it's got to be a low float to hit this thing in the pre-market. And then going back to what we said is like, what would the old Taylor have done? I probably would have went, oh, sick, this thing's got a lot of energy. I'll buy it right here. And I would have chased it here and just got stomped all the way down. I probably would have been like, oh, this thing cured cancer. Like, I'll go all in on my account. Just got stomped on the way down. So don't worry about it. If you're not savvy or your bagel is very important, the way you eat it in the morning and you don't want to be there, no problem. This thing's set up again at 11 o'clock. We drew our trend line, bum, 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 and then it ripped.
So guys, the chart, right, having like this hot chart, some type of story, a lower float, so like anything under 20 million is kind of a micro float type stock. 20 to 100 million is still considered low float. And then really the expanding volume, right? So like when you have that low float and then you have like really huge volume coming in, expanding volume, that will send these things. Like this ETRM got up to about 35, 40 million shares, if I remember correctly, in volume as it got to $30. But the float is probably, my guess is 1 to 2 to 3 million shares. So imagine like there's so many buyers coming in, but there's only a handful of outstanding shares. So everybody's competing on top of each other to get into the shares. Like if you think about it, like say you wanted to buy a stock at $10, right? This stock, hypothetically, or $8, and all your buddies wanted to. Well, they can't, right? There's not an infinite number of shares available at $8. There's maybe 500 shares available at $8. And there's probably 500 shares available at 803 and 200 at 804 and 100 at 805. And say you wanted 5,000 shares of this, it may take you from 8 to 810 to actually get filled on it. Now imagine there's 100 other guys just like you all trying to pile in at once. Well, that volume is coming in, but there's not buyers at every level because there's only a handful of shares available. And so that's how these stocks go straight, just parabolic, like a Dries or ETRM, because limited supply and then big expanding volume, and then you've got these momentum traders coming in just saying game time. And then, you can trade it back and forth really until it starts getting extended And when you start thinking it's going to be a short, then that's usually when you stop laying off to the long side.
Yep. And so going back to what we were saying is, why do I need a piece of paper to draw this stuff? Well, this is the next day. Okay. So this was January 6th. Now we're on January 7th. Okay. Now, what is the story pre-market? Like I said, this thing kept ripping. So you saw it at the one day. I don't know what it closed at this day, 947. Now it's at 16. So this is the day it hit 30. But look, here's pre-market, tapped here. Okay. So I drew my line. Now, where would I have loved to have got it? Right here. But I was waiting till the actual open on this. And now this is what I'm saying. If you had just a black screen on your left and you didn't have pre-market data, you might see that, oh, this thing rips right out of the gate. I mean, it gave you a little entry here, but it ripped out of the gate. But I knew from pre-market that like right around 11, or I guess it's a bit above 11, that's the spot. So it came here. It was right before the spot in the pre-market. So I took a little here with my EMAs as the risk, and then I just let it ride. And I was ahead of everybody that when the market opened at 9:30, I was in just before the open, and I had a little bit of a head start on these guys, and I scaled up here. Now, like I said, I don't have time in the morning, blah, 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 blah. No problem. At around 10:30, it's set up again. We drew our trend line, set up again. I mean, you could probably draw a trend line here again and hit the short, but I wouldn't hit a short on this thing. Because it's so low float, you would have got smoked out. But I'm just saying, keep drawing your trend line. So, the old Taylor would have went probably on this candle and said, oh baby, this thing's gonna rip. And yeah, I might have been right, but how do I know it's not gonna tank right after? I mean, it's already up 2 days, whatever, 100% so. So just wait, and you can catch your next entry here. And it's not rocket science. It's just like I'll wait and I'll draw a nice line. When it breaks this line, I'll go again. And this one I hit last week, and I just wanted to show it because there's no excuse for new traders to say, oh, I don't have time, my job's too busy, blah, blah, blah. This one I was in line at Disneyland last week. I was waiting for the rock and roller coaster, and I saw this thing shredding. So this thing broke this line, tap, 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 came back up, tap again. So we have, what, a 4-tapper, 5-tapper shred life, and went all the way just under 21. Now, the old me, I would have hit it at $20.25 and been like, I'm going to go on this roller coaster and come back and crush myself. But instead, I was smart, and I said, okay, it's a runaway train. It broke this line. Let me just see how it plays out. Things started to curl over. I drew my line with my eyes, actually on my phone, and I took a small position on this one because, again, I don't recommend you trading on your phone. A lot of people say that's for degenerates. We are who we are. But, I mean, you can see it went up here. I drew my line. I knew it's exhausted. It's been running forever. I mean, the thing was up from 17 bucks to 21. So I ended up taking a little short here. I put my stop in right above. I had a great time on this roller coaster. And I had my 9 EMA. It was a 9 EMA riding dirty. And I think I walked out. I got a churro, and I closed the trade and made a couple $100. So, I mean, it can always be done.
I like it.
And that's pretty much basically the plays that I've been hitting and the style I try to do now. And I think it's 100% based on trend lines, and it comes 100% from Kunal coming to my computer and telling me that my entries are disturbing to him.
Your entries are so bad, I was almost thinking you were like a serial killer for a hot second. I'm like, there's just no possible way that a sane person could be buying stocks so high. And then look what happened. A couple new outfits. And
yeah, a couple new outfits. I went from a double XL T-shirt to a small, and here we are.
For those of you guys that don't know, Taylor used to be a skater. So when he showed up at my house, I'm like, man, we got to go out and do stuff. He had like this like double XL T-shirt, but he's like a ripped dude. Like he's ripped and like skinny. So he's maybe 160 pounds or something. And he had this like huge extra Trump T-shirt, and I was like, I don't know if we can go out like this. So we went shopping, and I tried to get him into the V-neck lifestyle, and he just couldn't do it. He's like, Kunal, be gentle with me. This is my first non-skateboarder outfit, and I'm nervous. And so we got him some regular shirts, and all of a sudden, he was slaying them. I mean, there were ladies that were actually looking at him not for his skateboarding skills, but because maybe he could have just been a handsome young man. That changed your life, maybe even more than trading.
Yeah, I went to a dinner for my sister's birthday, and they all said, "Oh my God, we've never seen you wear clothes that fit you." So I said, "You look at trend, you do some trend lines, and you get a tight shirt, and your life's on track."
Your whole life has changed.
Basically, yeah. So that goes back to the next slide is like know yourself. Like, are you wearing double XL tees or are you wearing tight tees? Like before at the start, I didn't know like what I was doing. Like, I mean, I took the boot camp. I had all these plays, and Kunal says it all the time. You're gonna come out of the boot camp, and you're gonna be like, I have all this knowledge. I'm a beast, but you haven't refined it. And this is the same thing, which goes back to like skateboarding and jujitsu. Is like now with jiu-jitsu, I know my game. I'm not going to do certain things. I know what I'm good at. I know I like to do this technical stuff from the bottom to get onto the top and choke somebody. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to try and do this insane whatever wrestling takedown. It's not going to work for me. That's not my thing. So I think we discovered, me and Kunal knew, like when I was taking some of these trades, he's like, oh, you're a dirty little chaser. Like you love just chasing these stocks up. And then I was like, I am disturbing the brown Brad Pitt. I need to draw good trend lines and get in early.
He was stressing me out, man. I couldn't even make my own trade just knowing that he was about to chase. Like he had this look. Like he'd be with this mouse and he'd be like, and I'm like, oh my God, he's about to chase. And I just like walk over and be like, what are you doing, buddy? And he's like, nothing. Just about to
Chasing. Just chasing.
chase this stock. But you don't chase anymore. You only get dips.
Yeah, now I'm the Big Dipper.
You're the Big Dipper.
So, and then the other thing too is like I hate, and I hope like a lot of my friends from jiu-jitsu, I think, and like my personal friends are watching this. They ask me all the time about stocks, and then they say they don't have time. Like, just figure out what works for you. I think Jake Novakovic, if I butchered his name there, but like he's a good he's a good trader. Kunal's trained, and like I think he has a job, so he just swing trades and he'll trade around like the core when he has time in his day, and he does pretty well, and it just suits his life. So like for me, I have an opportunity where I'm at a computer. I have other shit I need to do, so I'm gonna get in this thing pre-market. I'm gonna rip it, and then I'm gonna go on with my day like an absolute boss. But if you don't know what you are, like before I'd be like, oh, okay, I just like made a sweet pre-market trade. I made 200 bucks, and now I'm going to swing this low float short and like wake up and just get stomped. So it's like you can't be everything at the same time. Maybe when you're more advanced, like Kunal does swing trading. He knows it from Paul, but it's not, you know, you got to figure out one thing before you do the other thing. And it's the same with jiu-jitsu and skateboarding. Like, are you going to be in the half pipe or are you going to be on the street? It's very hard. You rarely meet guys that can do it both. There are people, but like just figure out trading for your day. You don't have to do 8,000 trades every day. You can be like, yo, I'm the guy that slays $1,000. I mean, you take one of those trades you could take, and that'll pay your rent for the week. So just take your time and don't follow people. If you see Canal in a trade, like don't just take it. You don't even know. He might be sitting on a huge bankroll where he's ready to risk a lot on this trade in the hopes of getting a big home run, or he might be out in 2 seconds and you're the guy sitting in the trade. So
I could be
know
out
yourself and don't change.
Costa Rica with my laptop, just trying to shred something. Don't follow anybody. It never works because it's impossible to be reactive. You know, you have to be proactive. Whenever you're reactive to anybody, you're always late. But also,
Yep.
I mean, you don't know, that guy could be hungover. He could be in a banana boat. He could be doing cocaine off monkeys' butts. Like, you know, like you don't know really what anybody's doing, man. This is America, man. We're in a new world, man. This is a world of Trump. All sorts of weird stuff is going to come out. It's a big pee-pee
Yeah.
party now.
You don't know if he's in Russia with like some type of questionable people doing questionable things and
It's just a big
beds.
pee-pee party.
So yeah, and like the other thing too is like that's what happened to me, and I'm trying to just base this, and I'll probably interrupt Kunal and I ramble a lot, but I'm trying to like tell you guys like what does a new trader who thinks he's dope do, and what does somebody who you can tell now, I guess, who's had some time and like got chopped up a bit, is like I used to always follow Kunal into trades, and I knew in my, you know, you're doing it wrong, but you're like the rules don't apply to me. I'm awesome. So, yeah, just do your own game and take your own time. Like I said, it's like there's no rule where if you want to learn about trading and you don't make $1,000, like, in your first little bit, like you're a loser. Like, just take your time. Just slowly take your time. Slow and steady always wins the race. I get people in jiu-jitsu, they come up to me like, I'm going to train every single day this week for 6 hours. And I don't see them for like a month. I'm like, maybe you should just do 20
Yes.
minutes every day and not be a loser. So, yeah, know yourself.
Rock and roll. So, Taylor, let me ask you a couple questions. Oh, you got some more slides. Good, good,
I
good.
got like two more. So, this is just a really quick slide. Books I recommend, Dark Pools. This is just going to help you grasp like what we were talking about when we said late to the gangbang, and when we said like being late and a chaser. This book will explain to you like how people left the trading pits and became retail traders, and like how like algorithms turn on, different traps you can get caught in, how your order is being filled through and people are selling into it. So this is just a quick one. I think as a beginner trader, if I had read this the first week I ever traded a stock, it would have been a big help for me to know all the dirty little scams that are going on with other people in the market. And this is kind of why people say, oh, you can't make money day trading. It's rigged. This will help you learn that like it's not rigged. It's just very difficult. I mean, you could say maybe some people think it is, but this is going to give you basically an overall market structure and kind of what's going on. So I'd really recommend you read this if you're a beginner. And I'll get to the end of these slides quick. YouTube is your friend. So I literally have watched every path to profitability before I even signed up for the boot camp. I sat down for like 2 hours. Some of them are 3 hours. Um, and I read I will listen to every single one of them. I knew every single person on them. I knew their trading stuff. I'd see them in the chat room. I felt like I already knew them because I watch these things all the time. So then people say, I want to trade. I don't have money. I'm like, there's a million free YouTube videos on there. Go look at them. And then if you've watched every single one of Kunal's videos, and then you say you still didn't learn and you don't have money to pay, maybe I'll understand you. But try to watch as much YouTube video stuff as you can. It's all free, and I don't think there's any excuse now. I mean, you can watch it on your phone while you're on the toilet or whatever. You can look at a quick pre-market trade or not pre-market trade, but you can look at like how did Kunal short SRPT 2 weeks ago. Okay, while you're on the toilet or while you're having your bagel, even if you're not trading, throw it on, and every day you get a little bit smarter. And
With the bagel, huh?
yeah, sorry, I'm going on a bagel tangent.
You love the
Carb
bagel.
life, carb life, bro.
You love the bagel. It's almost like you haven't eaten carbs in so long that you just can't get this bagel lifestyle out of your head.
Yeah, you give me a double XLT and a bagel. I don't know, man. But avoid the common mistake, is like Kunal said, is like, what are common mistakes to shoot yourself in the foot? Well, I used to follow Kunal in a trade. That's a good way to shoot yourself in the foot. Another good way to do it is like, oh, I made my watch list. It's 9 o'clock at night and my friends want to party. Well, my homework's done, so I'll go, rage till 3 in the morning and trade. Good luck. You might make a really stupid trade. If you're
Been there.
chasing, like, yeah, I've been there, done that.
I think we traded after the cowboy chokeout.
Yeah, for sure. So
How's
we
that?
probably were trying to shoot ourselves in the foot. Learn from us. Don't do it. Just get your rest and like have your routine. And I think the biggest thing that's helped me as like a trader now is like, is this something you want to do for the rest of your life? For me, yes, 100%. I can't wait to be, super old, trading, sitting on $1 million. But don't feel like every day you have to go in there. You're like, I haven't slept. I mean, let's look at maybe a month ago. I had got these investors in from Asia. I did a trade show. I had prepped my whole facility for them to come visit so it looked, top notch. And I hadn't slept in about 2 weeks. And I was still doing well, making, $100 because I didn't have time. I was busy doing other stuff. So I was maybe ripping a little pre-market shred or whatever. And then I dropped the investors off at the airport. I'm driving back. I'm like, I'm a god. I just did my business well. I did a few trades well. And I stepped up on the Friday with no sleep, with, thinking I'm awesome. And I took my biggest loss probably of the, past 6 months or whatever. And I just broke all the rules. I just didn't care. I was like numb at the computer. Kunal's like, you should probably get out at the 90 of May. I'm like, yeah.
Was that the day trade?
Yeah, yeah, that's what it was. WJ.
Oh,
So
that
he's
was a
like,
disaster. I knew in my heart that he was just going to hold this because he kept telling everybody that Jerry was like, he was so tired. He's like, well, I think it's going to come back, guys. Like, this looks like a shakeout. And time anybody says it's a shakeout, but they don't get out, like, it's like deadly when they're like, it's just a shakeout. Don't worry, guys. It's just a... And then, like, it happened again. He's like, oh, it's a double shakeout.
yeah, yeah.
I'm like, oh my God, he is not going to get out. And I was like messaging him on G Chat. He's my buddy, right? He's my student. So I'm like, I can sense when he's just probably all hopped up on all sorts of caffeine and MCT oils and athletic greens combo. Um, it's never good.
Yeah, so Kunal was telling me, like, get out of this thing. I think I wrote to him, like, I am willing to sit here all day until this dies. And he's like, I am screenshotting that because that is the exact way that you do not do things. And I was like, whatever, you don't know anything. And then I got smoked out like 2K in a half hour or something. So, I mean, it happens. Like, I could sit here all day and say, I'm awesome. Look at all these trades I do. But it's real. You're not always going to be on point. I was watching a pro trader the other day. The guy was ripping it. I think he made like 250K in a month. He got smoked out the other day for like 30 G's. And he just said, I broke every single rule. I had a professional trader, Kunal, telling me, you're dumb, do this, this, and this. And I'm like, no, I got this one. Just a double shakeout, baby. And the thing ripped from like, I don't know, I covered it like $4 later. Like it was just absolute stupidity.
It was amazing.
So,
We all had 50-cent stops. Like everybody held it all day. It was meant to be a scalp. Like, it was an opening range place. We're like, oh, like, we're going to short it here and let's use 50-cent stop. And then I lost like 75 cents a dollar. I got smoked out too. I'm like, fuck, man, I can't believe I got smoked out like that. Because I made money in the first one and I like hit my goals for the day on the first trade. And then
me too.
I stuck back in the cookie jar, and never do that, by the way. When you're done, you're done. I snuck back in, and rather than risking, like half of my profits, I was like, well, I can give it 50 cents. And Taylor was like, well, I mean, I can give it $4 or $5. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So, and that was the thing where it's like there's no better feeling than my work here is done. Like me and Kanal, we ripped it. We're both in there. I was up, I don't know, 300-400 bucks,
me
which
too.
on a day when you're absolutely tired, I had like 5 green days. I just killed it with these investors. I'm thinking I'm a legend, and I go ahead and I just shoot myself right in the foot at my desk. And it ended up going up $4. I covered it and just told him I just took the worst loss I've ever had. I'm gonna go take a nap. So like, I mean, it happens. Whatever, stay strong, just keep going. Um, but don't do that. Like, learn from our mistakes, and it'll happen. But now I'm much better at being like, I'm tired. I haven't slept. This is just going to be lame. I'll just go have whatever, the bagel I keep talking about, and just chill. So don't shoot yourself in the foot.
Rock
And
and
the
roll.
last slide is just, man, patience is like a position in itself. I used to always be like, if I'm not in a trade, I suck. But it's like the total opposite is like, what, this alligator here on this thing, he probably eats what, once a day, once every 2 days, just slays a massive antelope or something like a boss. And that's because he doesn't need to be eating all day. He gets his one trade, his work here is done, and that's why crocodiles are sick. You know what I mean? So like, you don't have to be constantly trading. And that's why also you don't need those 9 screens that everybody says you need to be a legend. I used to be always there like, I don't have patience. I'm going to have all 9 screens of these green with unreal trades going down. Like, it's not going to happen. So just wait. And like I said, you missed the pre-market one, no problem. Wait for the next one. You missed that one, no problem. When the thing goes to $80 on this 200%, 300% rip, just wait for the short and
Yeah.
catch it on the other side. It's all good. And after time, you will turn from a dirty little chicken wearing a double XL t-shirt to maybe where I'm at now is like the chicken with a smaller t-shirt, but eventually you'll get all the way to the beastly dino. So that's pretty much the end of my slides, and then yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. So I just got a couple more questions, and then we'll answer the audience's questions. Because one of the things I always thought that was really interesting about Taylor, and also probably why me and him get along really well. Taylor's like a huge like self-help junkie, which I am too. mostly because we're so fucked up that we're always like trying to fix ourselves.
Yep.
Uh, so like I put him onto like these MC. He's like me. He overdoes everything. He overworks. Overdrinks, overtrades, everything is just over the top, which is exactly how I am. So we like really got along when we realized we were both like self-help junkies. Like we like started just crushing it together. And so when he came to my house, like we watched like the Tony Robbins documentary on Netflix.
Date with Destiny. Date with Destiny.
We watched it like 3 times, and it was like we would just sit there, and it'd be like Tony Robbins is like the man. Like somebody'd be like, I I'm having problems with my food. I eat too much. He's like, yeah, he's a drug addict, isn't it? And it would be like, you're like, whoa, how did he get there? And so we really, really started to get along because he kind of thought like me. But Taylor, can you give us, because I know you spent a lot of time with Joe Rogan and yourself and Tony Robbins and yourself. Can you give me some ideas like what are like some of the tools that like you use, tools, supplements, just things that help you like organize your day or get through your day, like that just make you better. Like obviously for me, like everybody kind of knows, like I'm always popping athletic greens and eating spoonfuls of MCT oil, and I business coach and this and that, and I have a handful of things that kind of make me at peak performance. But like, what about you? Because I mean, you're running a business, you are trying to be the Canadian Bruce Lee, and then you're trying to be the Canadian Brown Brad Pitt day trader lifestyle. So you got a lot of stuff going on. So how do you keep all this, juggling all this? Like, how do you keep your energy? Like, what's going on?
Well, I mean, juggling wise, 100% the most important thing is like, and Kunal says like I'm a self-help junkie, which I am. Like, in fact, all my friends are like, you should watch this series, and I'm like, I only watch YouTube. No, thank you. Like, I don't want to watch Tony, or not Tony, but some other guy fight with his wife. Like, I can do that myself. I can go fight with like chicks or whatever. I don't need to see that stuff. I want to know what's going to make me better every day. And the most important thing I found that helped was since 2012, I have like a stack of ring binders or whatever, and every day I write down the 4 things. So Kunal touched on it in like the wild way that he does, but like the 4 things that I'm trying to do. I want to be a black belt in jiu-jitsu. I want to be fluent in Chinese because I spent some time in China and it's important for my business life. I want to be a high-level trader and run my business. So I just have a piece of paper every day, and it says lights, Mandarin, jiu-jitsu, Chinese. Or sorry, I already said it. Lights, Mandarin, jiu-jitsu, trading. Okay, so 4 things. And every day, all I have to do is I just put a check mark next to them, and I write down what it was. Traded the open, made $600. Stocks are now complete for the day. I'm better on that discipline. Then I say, on the way to work, I listen to a Mandarin audio tape. So now that's crushed. That skill is done. And then I say, I ran the business well, and I got a purchase order for 1,000 lights. Check mark, that's off. I went home and I taught my students, and we drilled this armbar submission. Check. And then what I do is I sign it every single day. It says I got better today with an exclamation mark, Taylor Jordan. And I've been doing that since 2012. And I guess, I mean, this is a testament to that. As Kunal probably saw, I guess I was a better person. Maybe I was a horrible human being, but better at those skills from 2015 going forward.
Yeah.
So that's what keeps me on track, because people say like, oh, I can't do jiu-jitsu when I have this business thing going and whatever. I'm like, man, it doesn't have to be like this thing where you rip 18,000 stocks and then you go run half a mile and then you do a front flip into your lunch and then you like, it's just like, yo, 20 minutes I sat there. And this is the other thing, building routine. And Kunal helped me a ton with this, is he'll be like, one day, I told him the other day when the investors came, he goes, you trading today? I'm like, I got the investors in the show. He's like, so what's hot? Like, you're a trader, are you not? Yeah, I am. In jiu-jitsu, people go, are you doing this tournament, this a day? I go, I am trained and I am in shape at all times. And when the tournament comes and I'm comfortable in my life, I will sign right up and I will choke these people out. And that is because every day I'm just going, I did my hour, I put my work in. So there's the thing too, is like I get friends, they're like, hey, I want to learn how to trade. I have Apple, I bought some shares. Okay,
Mhm.
you're not done. You know what I mean? Like, okay, well, why can't you do what we just talked about? I have Apple, but every morning I get up and I look at the gappers and I say, what are these gappers doing? Because one day I would like to do A, B, and C. So the main thing, long story short, what Kunal is saying is like, figure out a way to show that you're progressing. So every single day I can go back in these, and some of them even say like, tried to trade, absolutely got smoked, lost whatever, 2 G's. Then I ate horribly. Then I went to jiu-jitsu and everybody choked me out that are my own students or whatever. And then I turned off 10 minutes through the Chinese tape and put on Young Jeezy. You know what I mean? Like, but it still shows there was that 10 minutes every day where I was closer over the goal. You know, now I know 1,000 things not to do, and I won't shoot myself in the foot because I can see on this day I was pissed off at myself. So main thing to keep me going and do all this stuff is get a little sexy leather journal like Kunal wants to have, and
Suffice.
just write down like, did I trade today? No, but did I know what was going on? Yes. Did I exercise is a big part of it too. I do jujitsu to help my business life, and I do business to help my jujitsu life.
Yeah.
When I'm training now, I'm like, man, I almost have this guy submitted. Okay? But normally before I might have like flipped into this fancy move, which is what? It's like chasing. I have this stock on my radar, but I'm just gonna hop in and freestyle it. No. I have this guy almost close to submission. I'm gonna trap his arm. I'm gonna start breaking him down. And when the time is right, I'm gonna bacon this guy until he's, gasping for air on the floor.
Hey, let me ask you something, because you mentioned these shawarmas are making you so sick, but I mean, you came to my house and you ate my mom's Indian food nonstop, and she even, she yelled at you a couple times. You ate her Indian food. I mean, you were on it. You're part of the Indian game.
Well, the other day I did a double meat shawarma. So
Oh man,
it's gotta
my mom,
be.
my mom is so funny. But me and Taylor go out one day, and she's like, " oh no, not you too." And Taylor's like, "What did I do?" "You're gonna puke, and you're gonna be mean." Because Taylor had a little accident in the house the night before, and my mom comes upstairs. She's like, "Your white friend from the Canada, he is doing the vomit." And I'm like, "Yeah, mom, we went to beer festival, man. That stuff happens. He's probably not used to all the booze." And she was on his shit all week. "Where are you going, Taylor? No drinky for you? That is very, very bad." And Taylor just, "Yes, Mr. Sai." He had a great Indian accent though. He knows the drill now.
Oh yeah.
When my mom comes back, she's like, "You bring Taylor. He's a good boy."
Oh, that's nice. I wasn't sure I was leaving. I'm like, oh, really? We'll see.
Good,
First
good,
thing she says, like, I'm so thankful that smelly, smelly man is gone from our house now. We can continue doing our normal lifestyle.
good. Let me just a couple more questions here. So I thought one thing was interesting, guys. Taylor is like he's got a unique fascination with virtual reality. Can you explain a little bit about what you feel the VR lifestyle is going to be about?
All right, yeah, like, actually, if anybody on here knows about this, actually, can you still see my screen or no?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay.
VR
So
lifestyle is very interesting.
I'll put this up if you want to get in touch with me. This is the best way to do it. I answer all the questions people ask me, or I try to, unless you're mean, then I might drop you if you're trolling. But like the VR, I don't know. Kunal's asking me about the VR. I think the VR is the wave of the future, and I'm actually interested in it because we're talking about screens. Like people are like, man, I need like 30 screens. But why couldn't we have the VR thing? I mean, if we can make a stupid game with a dinosaur, shredding around there, why couldn't we have our charts in just a headset? And I'm just VR in there. I'm pulling these charts up, sending them back, and then you wouldn't even need any screens. You just need the VR. But I've just been really interested in tech, and I think that's probably why me and Kunal get along. Is he's always looking at all these weird computer dongles and things that he can attach to his computer, and like I do the same thing. Is I believe too, and that's part of the learning thing is too. On those pages that I'm writing Chinese jiu-jitsu, trading and lighting, where I'm progressing, I always throw in a little bonus one. So like I had some investors from Korea that month. I did the Chinese, but I threw in the Korean one. And I took 10 minutes every day and I learned a couple Korean words and I went to Korea and they're like, where did you study Korean? I'm like, 10 minutes every day and I'm just taking it. Exactly. 안녕하세요. But basically, I think it's a self-improvement thing is like, man, all the shit we could do with VR and like trading and shit. So if you have any sick VR stories, questions, hit me up and we will get into the VR lifestyle together.
Taylor, when I saw him last, he's like, dude, it's gonna be so epic, man. He's like, at some point, we're just gonna trade. Then we'll just plug ourselves into the VR and like live these like cool lives, but not have to talk to anybody. And I'm like, dude, that's awesome.
Yeah, I was like to Kunal, I'm like, man, you got a pretty good like bankroll. I'm like, you could just like set a timer of like when to eat and when to go to bed and just peace out on everybody.
And we're so alike, like that. We used to sit there. He'd be at my house, and like we both love playing on our phones when we're really tired. Like we just play on our iPhones. So like some days, like we'd be like, "Hey man, do you like want to go to the bar and get drunk, but not talk to each other and just play on our phones the whole time?" He's like, "Yes, dude," because that's like the worst thing, right? When you're hanging out with people and all you want to do is play on your phone, and then they're like asking you questions, and you're like, "Shut up."
Like I'm trying to watch like a video of three people
I just read
scrapping.
it all day. I just want to drink this booze and play on my phone and not talk to anybody. So we did that like half the days. We just go and cruise out to the cigar bar and hang out and play on our phones and not say like a single word to each other for hours and hours.
Yeah,
Taylor,
it's like,
a couple more questions.
yep.
Since you're kind of a little bit of a nerdy guy like myself, uh, who was your favorite superhero when you were a kid?
Well, he's not a hero though. I was Spawn. You know Spawn?
I know about Spawn. I mean,
I was all about the Spawn. I remember actually my parents thought I was a bit troubled because they're like, "Who's your superhero?" I'm like, "I like the ex-army soldier who was burnt alive and is pissed about the guy banging his wife." They're like, "Whoa!" like,
who is showing you those? All right, all right. And what about this? If you could just give a piece of advice to some of these new traders, if you could give one piece of advice to an aspiring trader, where do they go? What would it be?
it would be just don't give up. It's a long game. I mean, this is what I'm saying is with like skateboarding and jiu-jitsu is like when I started trading, I noticed right away a similarity to these sports that I'd done my whole life. Is first thing in skateboarding you learn is you're gonna get absolutely murked. Like you're gonna get sacked on rails. You're gonna get your ass ripped apart by the asphalt. You're gonna probably break your wrist, but you're gonna pull off a sick trick and you will be a legend after. So like all these tricks you see, skate videos, all this stuff, it takes thousands of tries. And then the one you see that they're filming, that's the big ender to the video, that took the guy like 3 days and getting his ass handed to him. And that's the same thing we tell our jiu-jitsu students is like a white belt is a black belt, or sorry, a black belt is a white belt that never quit. The best people are not the ones who are around. They're the people that survive. So there was tons of times. I'll tell you one time I remember I had a really bad trading day, and this is like maybe a year ago, and I just remember I lied out in my backyard like a freaking wounded soldier. Like I'm just laid out on
Yeah.
the grass, and I'm just like, ugh. And my dad came out, and he's like, bro, like, are you gonna be okay? And I'm like, yeah, I'm good. I'm real good. He's just like you don't need to lay out and like kill yourself at nighttime. Like just realize it's gonna take a long time. And if you think, I thought when I was jiu-jitsu, I said, oh, BJ Penn got his black belt in 3 years, the UFC legend. I thought, well, I'm pretty sick, so 3 years for me too. I'm ready to rock. Here I am 4 or 5 years later, and I'm just over halfway there. So you're not special. If you are, congratulations. But
Hey,
just keep going, man. The game is built to get your ass handed to you until you can pick it up and stop being a chaser and making trades that disturb your mentor. So just keep going, man. And that's what I tell everybody says, oh, I don't have any money right now, so I don't want to learn to trade. I'm like, I would pray to God that you know how to trade when you have the money. Like, I would
Yeah.
not want to be like, man, I just made 300K on my business. I sold it, and I'm about to go hard in this JNUG. And you're like, all right, dog, well, you're gonna get crushed, bro. Like, just keep going, man. I'm still a beginner. I'm still working every day. I still have my little paper where I said, whatever, lost $10 on JNUG. Tomorrow I'll make it better, and I sign it. But just keep going. I could have easily, I messed up one of my accounts, and I could have easily said, that's it. I have a good job. Why am I doing this? This is stupid. But I know this is something I want to do, and I will make it. It's like get rich or die trying, basically.
So
But you
what
don't
happened
need to,
when you messed up
you
that
don't need to
account?
die. Sorry, say it again.
What happened when you messed up that account? What was
So I
going
had
on?
I had an account after the boot camp, and it wasn't like I was losing like every day. Like I'd have hot days, and those are like the light at the end of the tunnel. So that's again like don't give up. Is like trading is so mysterious because you'll be shit, 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 and then you'll hit something. It might have been luck. It might have been that you're sick at calling this trend line, but you're like just made 2K, and you leave your house and you're like I'm a god. But you're down like 6 G's or whatever, like on the week or whatever. But you know what I mean? Like something like that. So it's like you can keep trading will keep showing you these little flashes, and it happens in martial arts and skateboarding and snowboarding. What I'm saying too is like you keep eating shit and getting tapped out, and then you submit the guy that always tapped you out, and you're like, holy shit, there's something here, there's something I can do. So you have to take these journals or whatever it is that you know, and you have to like latch on to those as one piece of hope. Like I did it one day. I can do it again. But if I shoot myself 50,000 times in the foot, I will never get that one day back.
Yeah.
So it's like the alligator in the water there. It's like, wait, wait, wait. And if you've seen that light at the end of the tunnel, I know half these people who are watching have hit one of those trades where they're like, holy shit, I can do this. And you run to your parents and you're like, check out this play. It was legendary. And they're like, oh my God, like my son's so smart. But then you don't tell them about the other ones you just effed up badly. So yeah, just like keep going. And with that first account, I just had light at the tunnel, slowly drained. Big trade, slowly drained. Bunch of good little trades, one smoked out day. And then I just had like a bad day and it kind of drained out where I didn't blow it up, but it was like I didn't have access to much margin. I was just kind of it was a dead account. And it had a bad chi to it. It had a bad vibe on it.
It did.
So I just
So
got back on the saddle, and I think the timing worked out well. Where like right after a lot of this happened, I took maybe a month or two off, figured out all the shit I've been talking to you about for the past whatever hour or so, and I fixed it. And I took all those little pieces of hope that I had and that I had written down, and I put them together into a little ball of hope, and I kind of kept going from there. So like, just don't give up and keep grinding it out.
Hitler once was giving me this excuse on G-Chat, and I gave him the three mantras to repeat all the time. And he did it. I can, I will, I must. So then anytime I'd ask him anything, he would just reply back with that. I'd be like, hey man, what are you eating for lunch? He'd be like, I can, I will, I must. And sometimes you just got to keep going because this is a job. It's no different being a doctor, lawyer, jujitsu artist, whatever. It's a skill-based thing, right? You're developing yourself into a performance athlete or performance performer, essentially, pun intended, I guess. So it just takes that time. But one of the things to do is like practice alone doesn't really get you anywhere. Like, oh, I got a lot of screen time. I've been working at this long time. Doesn't matter. Like, you need the documents. Like Taylor's got freaking journals that are this big, logging everything he does, right? From what he eats to what he trades to how many times he does X, Y, Z. Like he's got data for everything, and so that's how you really get better. Is sure you're making deliberate practice, but you're making concerted changes in your behavior and your life and also your trading to get specific results, but they have to be tracked because if you just say, oh, I'm going to just do this all the time, well, what does that really mean? Like, how does that impact this? Like, sometimes the biggest impacts on my trading could be like how much I sleep or my diet or like me and even Taylor, we were talking about the other day. We're like, man, fuck, we work so much. Like, I think I'm going to go keto on this thing. I need I need to stop eating so much sugar because I'm getting up and down some days. Like, we're always like kind of changing stuff. It's not necessarily just your trade, right? Everything is interconnected because this takes up a lot of energy, and so you have to think about this in more of a holistic way. So you stay in the game. Everybody's going to get knocked down, of course, but it's your choice, right? How you respond, like how you get back up. Do I get back up? Do I stay down? Do I get back up and I make some changes? When I start getting a little bit organized. One of the things I've seen with some of my students I've got some really, really smart students over the years that never made it, not even close. And one of the things I noticed that's in common with the really, really smart people that had the right mentality and personality and the brain power, and they could see things and they traded really good in the simulator, but they just couldn't make it, was they were very disorganized. I'm a disorganized person too, but not when it comes to making money. They were very disorganized. They say, I'm having trouble with my trading. And you say, what's going on? It's like, I'm over trading. What does that mean? How many trades? I don't know. Like, oh my God, I'm chasing everything. Like, what? Okay, well, tell me about that. Like, how many times? Like, how much chasing? Or like, oh, I lack confidence. Like, well, that doesn't mean anything. Like, what does that mean? Like, like, give me something to look at. Give me some data. And because without that, without the organization, you can't pinpoint where you need to make the changes, and then you're just lost. And every single person that like has reached out to me, and like I just can't figure out like how to reach them sometimes, because that will happen. Like I will have some students that I can't get inside them, and one of the things that they all have in common is that they don't have the requisite data or the organization to quickly make adjustments for us to be like, okay, this is what's happening, let's try this tomorrow. Like that quick look. When Taylor fucks up, or some of my other students, I got Mr. Craig and Cody, some of these guys in my mentorship group that I work one-on-one with, they have like these beautiful journals of everything. Screenshots of every trade, this and that, all the stats. And so when they say, man, I'm screwing this up, I can look at it and be like, don't trade from 9:45 to 10:30 in the morning. That's where you lose. Everything else is good. It takes 10 seconds, right? Because they have the data. It's just like looking at, like a computer file, right? No big deal. Like, oh, don't trade in during lunch anymore. You have a 22% win rate, but you're good every other time of the day. So, those are the things that are be really important. But that's also the hardest thing to do, because people that are naturally successful and stuff, like they were all like good in high school and stuff, they're good in college, and they had like a decent job. Those type of people, they're always used to, I'm used to this too, they're always used to winging everything. Because, right, they're better than everybody at most things. Like, oh, I'm good at everything. So they wing everything. But in this one particular situation in trading, winging anything can have disastrous results, because you could make money. And if you're doing it, then great. But when you get into a slump, there's no way to change anything, because we don't know what to change, because you winged it all. And I have some people I work with right now, and it's like, I don't know. I can only give you so many Tony Robbins speeches before we have to do behavioral changes. Like, I can only do the you can do it speech so many times before it's like, okay, let's change your patterns, or let's change your time of day you're trading. I'm going to open this up to some questions. Taylor, thank you. You've been doing great. It's been fun to see your progress. And, every time I see you and your hairline recedes a little bit more, I just think, in a couple years, me and you, we're going to be like twins, man. Harold and Kumar just running around ASB 2018. Like, man.
What a day. What a day it will be.
Speaking of that, will you be around for ASB 2017?
I think I will be. I believe I will be making an appearance if the Richard Danner allows.
You may have to get some of the other boot camp students to come over to the house for ASB 2017. Let me open this thing up to some questions. There were some really good questions here.
One sec, Kunal, can you hold on for 1 sec? I didn't realize that's taking a bit of my battery here. I'm just gonna grab my cord to keep it going, all right? So plug my laptop in. I apologize to everybody. I will be back in 1 millisecond.
No worries. And guys, for those of you guys that don't, we have boot camp starting. So we have class starting January 24th to the 19th. So we got 5 days. Um, this is the same class that Taylor's taken. It's a live 60-day boot camp. I teach the classes Sundays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, 8 p.m. Eastern time. These classes are ridiculous. They're hot. They're everything that I have in my brain. I don't leave anything out. We go in from A to Z on everything there is to know about trading. We have a course book, private group chat, question and answer after every class. And the beauty of this class is that, I'm teaching at night and I'm showing you guys like what trading is and how it all works. But then like during the day, like I trade live in front of the students when class is done for months. So they can actually go and see on the screen like what I'm doing. They watch me click the buttons, like I walk them through it. And it's a huge help because there's obviously a huge disconnect. When you read a book, you just have that, right? It's a book. And like, how do you connect that to when the action is live? Well, you need to see a trader do it. You need to actually see them hit the buttons because there's so much nuance in trading that if you don't actually see and watch somebody running around hitting the buttons or, or sitting next to you and telling you like, hey, do this or that, it is, it's just much harder. You just can't learn this from a book. So, we have live classes. I'm on screen share. Then we put the students on trading simulators where they can trade. And, we have websites where they can upload their trades and share them. And, even my boy Vikram's made some cool journal templates if you want to just fill out your journals and stuff like that. There's tons of stuff, interactive quizzes, homework, the works. And our students get lifetime access to this. So our classes are recorded. They're archived into, what we have is like a bootcamp module page where everything is. So you can come into the bootcamp module page and, on the page we'll have all the classes, all the links, setups, scanners, anything you need, and even all the other past boot camps. So, you can watch the videos from, boot camp in 2014, and, you have lifetime access to all this stuff. So you can rewatch boot camp as many times as you want, but you can also retake the live classes, which is just a huge thing. I have classes like January 24th. I'll have students come in from 3-4 years ago. Like just to say hi. Like sometimes Taylor will come in and be like, "Hey, what's up, man?"
I'll probably be at the one at the end of this month. I'll hop in there a bit.
And people will hop in and just, they pay their respects or they just want to say hi or, frankly, a lot of times like people are just hanging out watching TV and they're like, I'm gonna put my headphones on and I'm gonna go to class because that's a lot better than watching TV. So her, or you can feel free to really email me anytime with questions or anything. I love chatting with people. That's what I do. I talk about trading, man. That's my game. So you can feel free to email me or text me. My cell is 974-480. I love chatting about trading. But the classes kick ass because it's a lifetime relationship and it's live, man. This is like watching the Rolling Stones. You can't learn trading from watching DVDs. Like, you can't really learn anything from watching DVDs. Like, you need live instruction. You need to be able to ask questions. And, you need somebody that's, frankly, probably even more committed than you are to doing it, right? And this is what I do. I'm on Bootcamp 29. I ain't going anywhere, right? This is just what I do till my day is gone. And, somebody like Taylor or some of these students, decide that they want to tell jokes for a living and also great trades and, shred all day on live chat. So, let's open this up to some questions and we'll get this party moving. Dun, 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 dun. So a show asked, Taylor, what made you transition from digital to paper? Ooh.
What do you? On the thing. Just the fact that I would not pay attention to any of my watch lists.
Yeah.
Like I had hundreds of them digitally, and I just would be like, I was telling you, I just start the next day fresh. Like, well, that watch list I lost 200 bucks on, so it's a piece of shit, and I'm over it. Today I have this, this, and this. No, 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 no. It's the one that I lost 200 on. I had the right idea, but the execution was bad. Tomorrow it's setting up. So I take those and I bring them over to the next day. So that was why, is I just noticed I kept not paying attention to stuff. I think I saw some other Twitters on like, or Twitters, traders on Twitter, and they were just like, this is what I use. So I just stole it. They say the smartest people, they're not like that, innovative. They just know how to take other people's stuff and maximize it. So if you see a good idea or a good trade, just take it yourself and just copy it. So I saw a guy doing well. He said he uses paper, and I stole it.
Good, 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 good. Boom, boom, boom. Hold on. Questions for webinar 10. Okay. Um, so some people ask, a lot of trading strategies like buying morning panics, breakouts, works only if the count is not under PDT. What would be the strategy seen most effective for small accounts under PDT? This is always an interesting question because obviously the less capital you have, the less choices you have. So like, you just don't get to do everything that somebody that has more capital does. So you do have to pick and choose. What would you suggest if they say somebody's got 5 Gs?
I would say, I think the start of the question, sorry, I can't see the question, so I'm just trying to remember them as you say them. I think the start said something about the pre-market with the PDT, or no?
So he says most of the trading strategies like buying morning panics works only if the count is under the PDT.
Well, you could buy the morning panic if you're not under PDT. But the best thing I would recommend actually is if you are in PDT, Kunal has a way to get around this for you. I'm in Canada, so I don't have that problem because our bank regulations are not huge yet. So there's not that much stuff like that. But if you are in the US and you have this problem, hit up Kunal. He has a way to get around it. There's not a massive way that you can like totally get around this in the States. It's the SEC's thing. But Kunal has a hedge fund where you can trade in there if you've done the boot camp or if you've been approved by him, basically. And he'll help you get the leverage and the capital you need without having, what is it, 25K US is the PDT. So if that's your question, is talk to Kunal. And the only other thing is, like we talked about, is be patient, man. Why can't you hit these longs on paper or on a simulator? And then when you have your 25 Gs, you're a boss.
Yeah.
Or you're going to get your 25 Gs, or you're going to get your, what, 26, so you're above. And then you're going to hit the washout long or whatever the hell you're hitting in the morning. And then you're going to go back to 24 and be like, shit, I gotta get 26 Gs again. I'm under the rule. So talk to Kunal about that. If you guys have a question about PDT, he'll help you around that, or you're going to have to come up north.
Dun, 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 dun. Good, good, good. And yeah, the other thing is, I mean, this is what we all had to do, when we first started trading was just, you have to build it up. You do swing trades and you build it up, and I mean, you look for really high reward type plays, and like you have to really ride them. Or, like I have a hedge fund where, geez, now at this point, 172 of our students trade where I align capital and tools and all that fun stuff. And there's a few other firms like mine out there. So there's, a handful of things that you can do. His other question was, he hasn't found any consistency. My scanner finds good stocks for swing trading, but no consistency. What would you recommend in regards to consistency in trading and efficacy in scanning? So I actually don't know what that last part means, but you probably have a lot of degrees and you'll know.
I have one, but yeah, you're saying you can't get consistency basically with your scanner is like what Kunal said. Well, what's the like people say this in jiu-jitsu all the time. I don't get this move. Like, yeah, but what? Like that's such a, you know what I mean? What don't you get about it? You know what I mean? So if you're having problem, you're saying you're swing trading and you have a scanner and you're not finding consistency. What are you swing trading? What's the flow? What's the market cap? How do they move? Is it FANG stocks? Are you trading these little turds? Are you trading penny stocks? Okay, what's your scanner spitting out? What is your scanner tuned to? Are you looking for low float? Are you looking for something that's gapped up, whatever percentage? So this goes back to the routine is what is the consistency in your schedule that you make these trades? Like, why are you not consistent? It's very easy for me to be like, I suck or I'm not consistent. But like,
Yeah.
be like, maybe this guy asking the question, whoever it is, I apologize, I can't remember your name. Maybe you're good, but maybe you're realizing that you're sick at swing trading, but you're trading stocks under $5. So switch your scanner. And that's the thing, man. It takes experimenting. I wouldn't have ever been able to do this trend line thing and have Kunal tell me that my orders that I put in are disturbing if I didn't stick with it. I would have just been like, I messed up the account. It is what it is. I gave it a shot and go on the rest of my life as an absolute loser. But I said I'm going to man up. So you're going to have to man up and look at your scanner and look at the stocks you're trading and look at the prices of them and look at how they move and then say, oh, I'm actually consistent at A, B, and C, but when I do D is where I totally mess it up. So I think you're selling yourself short, stock joke, by not taking all the criteria.
So, my buddy Aldo, you're probably good at some things. Narrow it down into what you're good at. Get yourself some more data. Get yourself some more data and start digging through. Dun, 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 dun. Okay. So Taylor, have you blown up any accounts since you finished the boot camp? Well, you got close, but you nipped yourself in the bud.
Yeah,
It looked.
I finished the boot camp and I actually lasted on that one that pretty much, we'll just say it was a blow up, but I lasted on that one for probably close to a year. So that's what I'm saying is like it wasn't like I'm done in like a week. It was like, oh my God, I could do this. Oh, I suck. Oh my God, I could do this. Oh, I suck. Oh my God, I could do this. Oh, I suck. Hey,
Mhm.
Kunal, I think I can do this, but I suck. And then he comes over and, oh, your order's disturbing. You could probably do this, but that order sucks. So yeah, I didn't. I didn't consistently like lose every single day, and I could see what like the other question was. I actually made money probably every morning in the open, but I would stick around and dip
Uh,
into the cookie jar, and I'd be down by 1 o'clock. You know, every morning I was a god, and by 1 o'clock I was going to go kill myself and lie in the backyard. And my dad go, "What the hell happened to you?" Like, so yeah, that's I drained it out slowly over time, and I was making things and tweaking things, but I knew like this is not a game like that you come in and win. Just like everything else I ever told you, like skateboarding, snowboarding, this, I knew I was going to eat shit, but I thought I could eat less shit than everybody else, and I ate about the same amount of shit. So
even at close to the beginning, he was pretty good at trading the open. It was just after like his first two trades, things really fell apart. You'd like to stay all day. It's like, dude, you have a business. You're attempting to maybe meet some women, hopefully someday. Like, free up some time here. You can't be at the computer all day. Guys, a human brain gets only so many good decisions. Like, you can make three or four good decisions, handful of them before you start slipping, right? You ever notice that? Like, you start letting yourself go in anything that you do for a long time, right? The trading is the same way. In the trading day, 3, 4, 5 trades, and you slowly lose the focus and the potent power of the perfect setup as the day goes on, unless you take just like some breaks and stuff. And so, staying at the computer all day, never met any good traders that do it.
yep, and it was the same for me with martial arts. I think I usually win my first fight in tournaments almost all the time, and then I get deeper into the bracket, and it gets harder and harder because I make stupider and stupider choices. Or you always have it in snowboarding. They say the guy who calls the last run, he always gets absolutely crushed. You know, you're riding good all morning, hitting jumps, and then around 2 p.m. you go, I'm going for the big daddy. But you're tired from the morning, and you think you're dope, but you're not. And then you hit the last run and you eat shit.
Yeah.
So same kind of idea.
This is an interesting question because I'm conflicted on the answer now because I've had good success with it, but I also sometimes wonder if it's all needed. John is asking, like, he's tried many trading services, watched tons of DVDs, read articles, but he's still not profitable. And he feels like he's got to start all over from scratch. He's obviously messed up and missing something. So he's looking into a trading psychology coach. What are your thoughts, and do you recommend anybody? Dr. Menaker. So I worked with Dr. Menaker for over a year. He's awesome. He really is. And he's probably the best at what he does. He's expensive as fuck, though. I think he charges like a $5,000 retainer and $300 an hour. But he is the best at what he does. But over time, I also wonder sometimes, like, is this like the whole metrosexual kind of thing? Like all of a sudden we all need psychologists because like we're all so damaged. When I started trading, there was no such thing as trading psychology. You just had to do stuff like learn your patterns, take notes, and do it. And like when I trained Mary Beth and like some of our good traders that I did the original Path to Profitabilities with, there was no mention ever of the word trading psychology. Now all our courses are geared towards, and we got to talk about it because everybody thinks they're fucked in the head when they're probably not. They're just regular people, but everybody thinks they're fucked. And I wonder about that sometimes. Like, are we just making this out to be like we're all crazy people when we're just people, and we're all fucked, but we're not? And so I wonder about that. So yeah, Dr. Menaker is the best, but I just wonder if we're not damaged people. We're awesome people. Look at Taylor, man. He's the man. He doesn't need no coach. He needs a coach. I'll slap him over the head and say, I can, I will, I must. And so I wonder about that. 10 years ago, no trading psychology classes, coaches. Around 5 years ago, they didn't exist. 3 years ago, there was still no mention of this stuff. And now it's like this thing, like, I got to, before each trade, and woosah, everything. And I don't know. I think it's important, but I just sometimes think we're using all this trading psychology as a crutch for not having an edge in the markets, for being disorganized, and just saying like, this is what I got to do, right? And rather than diving into how to fix your brain and think you're damaged, just come up with ways to keep yourself out of trouble. Like, for example, I have a student of mine from Europe in my mentorship group, and he's probably the smartest one out of the group, and I think I have really high hopes from him. He's an over trader. He's trading like 30, 40 times a day. And he's like, rather than doing all this woosah stuff, it was like, what can we do? Like, we just need an action-based plan. So I said, you know what? I want you to take a snapshot of every trade before you take it and send it to me. I'm not going to comment on it, but I just want you to send it to me. It's going to slow you down. And if you take any additional trades than the ones you send me, I'm going to lock your account the next day. And he said, okay, great. So he went from making all these trades to like 3, because sometimes he'd snap the photo and be like, this is junk, forget it. And like he stopped the over trading. Why? Just out of shame. Like out of saying, I don't want to show anybody my junk. Like I only want to show people my good stuff. And so like when I go through his actual trade log and how many snapshots he told me, they always matched up. He would just not take all those dumb trades. Sometimes just simple solutions to what seem like complex problems that need, oh, my daddy never loved me. It may be that your daddy never loved you, but that doesn't mean that's what's making you overtrade. Just a guess. I don't know. You have any thoughts on this stuff, Taylor? Or do you just say go with the shrink?
Well, I would say for me, like my shrink was the other stuff that I do and have done is like, what's a shrink is going to give you an alternate perspective on what you're doing. So why don't you just do something that you normally don't do? I don't know, go learn chess. And then you're like, oh shit, when I rush in chess and I rush in, the guy counters me and he captures my whatever queen and I lose. Or for me is like jiu-jitsu, I was like, okay, every night I'm fighting people and I'm teaching them how to do this and how to move your arm here. So then I think about this shit is like, what is my arm in trading? Well, it's like how I put my order in, or like, so like maybe you just need a different perspective on stuff. I mean, you could tell anybody to go to a shrink, but I don't know, is your shrink?
And I think Dr. Menaker would help you because he's just going to give you the accountability, because he's going to ask you for the basic stuff too. What are your trades? Where are you taking them? Right? I mean, he's going to ask you stuff, and you'll get better. I mean, I got better. I mean, he taught me a lot of stuff. But you know, you're not fucked up. I mean, you may not need all this stuff. You may need a trading buddy. You know, you may need somebody that you can send your trades to. Somebody that's just going to give you some solutions. Or yeah, I mean, you may need a whole blown rebuild. But I mean, that's an extreme type of thing. Like I went to Dr. Menaker because I was sick of making like hundreds of thousands, but never getting to the $1 million level. Like I'm like, man, I just want to be $1 million trader. Like have that year where you just make $1 million. And like I was obsessed with it. I was fucking with my head. Like I'd be up 4 or 5,000 bucks like every morning, and I'd just like give it back because I'd be like, I need to make $10,000 a day to hit my goal, to make 100,000. You know, like you just go through all this stuff, and so I was trying to work with Dr. Miniker to just get like bigger without, you know, the give backs and all that stuff. And you know, we tried a lot of stuff, and I learned a lot of stuff from him. And then you know, in the end, it was like, dude, I'm an animal. I just am. About me. Like he was so exasperated, right? He's like, do this. We had these like monitors hooked to my ear to measure blood pressure, and I'm like redlining all day. And he's like, breathe, and I'm like, never. Like I am a man. And in the end, it was like, all right, I learned a lot, but in the end, I'm a man. I'm a crazy person, and sometimes you just have to roar. You just gotta roar. And so, you know, it goes both ways. But yeah, he will help you. He's the best at what he does. Ben, do you track your win percentage, Taylor? Reward to risk ratios.
I'm more so just not really, to be honest with you. I mean, I have a lot of shit logged in on TraderView, and I'll go through it. But what I do is like I see all these people. They have these epic freaking Excel sheets and stuff, and I did all that. But my main thing I do is I just have a Google document, and I'll take a screenshot of like my account and the profit that day. So if it's a big red day or something, it'll just say Monday. This is how I actually do it. So if you want to know, is I have a Google slideshow, and each slide just has a shot of the tickers and the profits or losses, and then I'll just look at it on the Sunday, and then I'll know if I'm on the right track or if I'm fucking up.
Yeah, and I do more of like a cumulative. So it's like I'm not worried about the reward to risk ratio for each trade versus the cumulative, like what's my average gain over this month versus my average loss. Because that'll tell me if the reward to risk is good. Right? If my average gain is $500, my average loss is 100, well that's a 5-to-1. I'm probably picking them out right. But if it was inverted, right, then I know like, okay, whoa, like
And I can see it too when I'm looking through my trades. Like I can see if every single day it says I made 100, 100, 100, and lost 700. Like I can tell. So
well, time to lay off the MCT oils.
yeah. You'll see the outlier. I mean, that's the thing too. Is like I think at the start too, I got so obsessed with like keeping everybody talk. Like I'm just like Kunal says, I'm pretty much the same kind of person as Kunal. I'm an absolute lunatic, but I'm serious about being high level at stuff. And I just keep track of it. It's like I don't need this freaking spreadsheet that's like my inverse ratio of this is this. I can just look, okay, I'm doing well. All right, now I'm not doing so well. Okay, now I'm doing well. I mean, it's the same thing with my weight. I don't count. I have to make weight for tournaments. I'm usually always in shape. I don't count like where are my macros? Is my protein level to this? It's like I wake up and I flex and I'm like, it's good. Or I flex and I see some of my gut and I'm like, I gotta fix this. I'm not gonna eat that freaking thing. So, I mean, you can tell, you know where the problem is, where the elephant in the room is. If you want to have an Excel sheet with 80,000 cells, go ahead. But I just look every day. I'm on the right track. I'm not on the right track. I think you might need that more too when you're doing like swing trading or longer term. You're a little bit less on a daily paycheck kind of thing. I'm making my money, bank, I'm out. I'm out. Whereas if I'm holding it for 6 months, and I look back and I'm like, oh, whatever. The stats on this thing were balls. Like, no wonder I lost. So,
couple people have asked, did you ever have risk management issues? I think we discussed that it would be a yes.
Chasing is massive risk management. I mean, risk management failure.
I'm a chaser.
That's part of the pre-market thing is why I'm ahead. I have less risk. When it opens and all these dudes are going in, I'm already sitting there chilling, watching them scramble.
David, I do this too when I'm trading. David's asking like, can I trade off IB and have like a different charting software? So David, like this out, like when I do mine, like, 'cause I don't use TC2000 Broker, like I go like this. So I keep my montage here, and so like I'll have my three tickers or whatever, and so I'm like trading here, but then I have my TC2000 like this, so it's pretty easy. Like you don't really get confused. Or you could just use your TC2000 to actually, just do your charting, or I mean your interactive brokers.
I did it for a while actually at the start. Before I had my IB account, I had a different account that's not the best for day trading, but I would just use TC and then I would put the orders through on a different one.
Yeah, I do it too.
Whatever
Alex,
you like.
how much time is this for me? How much time is needed for boot camp? I'm currently in school, trying to see what's manageable. Boot camp's intensive. It is. It's a couple hours class, 4 nights a week. Everything is recorded, archived, so you can watch everything at your leisure. Always email me or text me or whatever if you have questions. So, you can work on your own schedule. But trading is just one of those things. Now, obviously, the more time you put into it, the easier it just is in terms of your learning curve. A bunch of people are asking what broker you're using, which is Interactive Brokers.
Yep.
Some people say, like, is the pre-market trading an extension of like the morning trades, like the ORBs and the flags, or is it like its own separate kind of like style?
The main thing I would say for me is it just tells me the story. Like if if the pre-market is so like chop and all crazy, then the ORB will have like more risk or something to it. But if you can see like say the thing's like sloping nice and smooth in the pre-market and then it pops and like flags, okay, now you know like you have a trend. So it just gives you more information. So if you want more information, yeah, it's just like we said, is like risk reward. Okay, well I know I have 18,000 different six support levels in pre-market. So if my ORB fails, I got more than just this gap hole in the floor. So it just gives me an edge that I think. But I mean, it depends what you want to your trading style too. But for me, it's an extension of the story. If it's looks good, there's hype, there's a story, there's low float. Chances are this ORB is going to work. It's got support. I have a spot to bail out, which is the pre-market spot. That's the idea.
Rock and roll. Just a couple other questions. With ID brokers, there's no need to wait for settlement. I'm currently making the switch. OJ, if you have a margin account, then you don't have settlement. Your settlement's when you're in a cash account. A bunch of people ask, what boot camp did you take? It's probably 20, maybe
I think it was 18, man.
18, 20. Oh, man, close. Hey, cool, Mikhail. Good to have you in the fund, man. Let me know before you start before you start trading. I'd love to chat with you. Elias is asking, like, what else do you look for besides float pre-market?
Just what I said before is like, what's the story? I mean, I'm not just going, okay, here's 20 stocks that are $5 million float, and I'm like, let's rip. Like,
You got to have patterns still.
yeah, they have a daily pattern, like we showed you, like ETRM. Okay, that one had a story. I don't know what the story was. I can't remember. I think it was something epic that they cured or some pharmaceutical thing. And then it had a low float. In the pre-market, it was setting up with a pattern. It had every single person known to man saying how hype it was going to be. So it had like 5 different criteria. But you can't just put a scanner on that says low floats, give it to me. You have to know. And that's why ETRM, I think something happened at the end of, let's say, the Tuesday when we were trading it on the Wednesday. So on my piece of paper, it just said ETRM may be hot tomorrow. And then I think I looked at it after hours. Always look at after hours because after hours is going to give you the story for pre-market and pre-market is going to give you the story for the day. And the afternoon of the day is going to give you the story for the next day. So it never ends. And that's the thing is what Kunal told me is like, are you a trader? Then it's your job to know what's going on today. You don't have to trade, but you need to know what's going on today. Because when you come back tomorrow, you want to know ETRM just smoked people left, right, and center the one day. So the next day I know I can't just rip into this thing. I know it just bankrupted like 10 dudes. So I'm going to be like, okay, I got to be a bit careful. I got to pick my entry, or I'm going to be a chaser and I'm going to disturb somebody with my order.
Nick Dobie, if there's no movement pre-market, but it rips the opening candle, what's your thought process?
Wait,
Yeah, wait for a pattern.
wait, just wait.
Right.
A
Yeah.
lot, not all of. I'm trying to. I showed you those two, but like not all of them that I take are pre-market. A lot of them I pull up pre-market. It just sucks. There's nothing going on. So I just wait. The open happens, and I'll take it when I draw my little line.
This is a funny one. Um, did your habits of stock trading help you pick up game with the ladies? No.
Probably the opposite. Probably the opposite.
Probably the opposite.
Chicks don't want to hear that you like watching replays of the market on Sunday afternoons. They want to hear that you like long walks on the beach.
I watch YouTube videos all day.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, this guy's really sick. Like the way he hits an ORB like on a Friday morning, he's a gangster. They're like, you're a loser.
Sometimes when we go out, we'll be like, yeah, like you hit that VWAP. Like it's like we just talk about stocks all the time. Like I hit that VWAP like a man. Yes. And yeah, that's really not that sexy.
But maybe we need to make like a meetup for stock chicks. Like they have those stock twits meetups, but like we could have like stock chicks meetup.
That was awful.
I'm just saying, it's not a joke. It could be a thing.
It could be a thing. What's your short long ratio?
Mostly short.
I'm
The
like
big
50.
daddies, the biggest ones that I've hit are short, and that goes with. I think I'm a little bit slow, so it's just easy for me to watch the thing shred, and then pick the backside. Like when I have my stuff on TraderView logged, it shows me that my stats are most of the time is short. And people say too, things take the stairs up, elevator down. So you probably do get more panic washouts. But I mean, it goes both ways. You get those short, those low float rippers. But most of the time, I prefer to short.
It's more fun. That's for sure.
You just feel gangster. You're like, this company's going to die, and I'm on it. I'm the one doing it to them.
People don't even know what shorting is, and you just sit there hammering it. When
Yeah.
you
Maybe that will help you with the chicks. You tell them you're a short seller.
when you see the 9 EMA, how do you know where to draw the trend line from there? Depends on the pattern, really. I mean, there's not like a set rule for how you draw trend lines. It's every situation. There's like 100 different things you could
It's
do.
an art form. Hard, man.
Yeah, it's hard to sum it down in like a two-sentence answer because it really depends on the the pattern too. Like, when you're doing flag patterns, you're kind of drawing trend lines in a certain way. If you're doing pullback patterns, you're kind of doing something in a certain way. And then there's multiple things you're looking at. Everything's a little bit different. There's not a set way.
Me and Kunal were shorting OAS at his house. We were waiting. We waited on it for like 8 hours. I don't know. I made like $100.
The worst.
But we just kept looking at each other, and he's like, "Are you gonna redraw your trend line?" I'm like, "I already redrew it." And he's like, "I'm redrawing mine now," and I was like, "Because everything changes as it goes. The story changes." So we kept redrawing it. We were right, but the thing just wouldn't give it out. We made money, but it was like
You're
probably
like 10:30 in the morning. We're like, we're gonna go to the gym. Like my trainer was waiting for us. Like he was sitting around waiting for us, like texting me, like, "I'm ready for you guys." We're like, "Yeah, we're just redrawing this trend line, and we're gonna hit this thing, and then come to the gym." And then I had the boat launch, and so we're like, we're gonna go to the gym, then we're gonna go on the boat, and it'll be like noon, and we're gonna have like this epic day. And we sat at the computer till 4 p.m. waiting for this stock to break out, and never did, and it just sat there all day. It was like the worst day ever because we didn't even lose money. But we just had this epic day planned, and we made money the first hour, and we just sat there like. Sometimes there's just a point where you say, I almost use time stops, not just stop losses, but almost a time stop. Like, oh, this thing is taking too long. Fuck it. Like, I'm out of it. Like,
And that's something actually new traders might want to know is I do occasionally do it, not religiously, but every now and then, if it's something like Kunal's saying, I'll actually take my phone out and I'll put a 5-minute timer on it. And I'll just be like, man, I've been in this thing for 5 minutes. I'll pull out and I'll re-enter again, put the timer on 5 minutes. And it's just like showing you, like, you might not even realize you're in the thing for 2 hours and it sucks, it's not doing anything. So now I have the thing, it's like alarm, and it's like, hey, Taylor, you've been in this thing for 15 minutes, it's not doing anything. Go take your ammo elsewhere or leave. Because you're tied up in your ammo too, so opportunity cost. I mean, don't
There's
jump around and take it.
capital, and then there's mental capital, right? So you have your physical trading capital, and then you have your mental capital. When you're just sitting in stocks for hours, you're burning all your mental capital, your psychological capital, and it's just exhausting. But the other part is this. If you're day trading and you're in a stock for hours and it hasn't moved, you know what that means? You misanalyzed it. It could explode, but it doesn't matter. Because if you had actually analyzed it right, it would go up right when you bought it. Because that's what timing the trade is. That's what day trading is. You buy, stocks go up, you take your money. It's supposed to be fairly linear. My trades were within 1 second. My worst trades, they sit there for 5-10 minutes, they don't do anything, or they start going down, and then they sit around and it just burns my capital and my mental capital, and it gives you more time to get stubborn too. I did that on CSX today. Like, I had that 50-cent gain, and then I let it come back, and then it just sat there, and it was just burning my mental capital. And the longer you're in it, the more invested you are emotionally into it. It's like your child, right? So then it makes you, the longer you're in it, the more stubborn you get, because you are invested not just financially now, but through your time. And that's the worst thing, right? Now you start to really, get into a dangerous game. So give yourself a time limit in terms of what the setup is and just let it roll. I think that's it, Taylor. My friend, you are Canada's finest. You could become the next Prime Minister of Canada, my friend. Thank you. It's been fun seeing your progress. I love you, buddy. I look forward to ASB 2017 and the Donald Trump inauguration. We'll G-chat and, we'll make live commentary, hopefully.
Sounds good, man. Yeah, if anybody, I don't know if you can still see my screen. I think it's on Kunal's. But if anybody has any questions, you can hit me up on Twitter or Instagram. There, can you see it now?
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you want to ask me any more questions, I'm happy to answer them. I was where you guys were. I'm still trying to get better, so don't hesitate to ask me any questions. I'll be happy to answer them the best I can. And I think that's pretty much it. If you want to see me do the stuff I do, I'm in the chat most mornings with Kunal. And that's about it. Thanks for coming.
We got a wicked chat. Thank you, T. Peace.